a wonderful time if we are actually live and everything's going to all 5 platforms that we're on now, because I am actually trying to get this on as many platforms as I possibly can whenever I do my live streams. So we should now be on YouTube, Facebook, Mixer, Periscope, and Twitch for all the 1 or 2 viewers we get on each other platform. But that said, hopefully you guys are having a wonderful day. I know that we've got a few people in the live chat that have been waiting a few minutes. Sorry that I'm a couple minutes late. That's kind of my norm. It sucks. But on the same side, I am unfortunately not all that wonderful at getting things done on time. There's always something else that pops up and ruins my ability to actually be punctual. Sorry about that. That said, I have no idea how many people we have watching. It does not show me at all, because why would it? Why would technology work for me? Gander says, hey, you did better this time, better than the last few times. Hey, at least that's good. Hey, it actually shows we've got 9 people watching this time. That's way better than what it has shown before. Also, I see we've got Jim Majors in the chat, Excellence USAF, Drag Worker, Wellington Smith, Ray, Andrew Vasquez. We've got a few people who I have not seen. I don't think I've actually seen Andrew before. I've seen Skeptical Weeb once or twice. Pyro Kitty, I'm trying to get to all of you. I am absolutely horrible at this. That said, I cannot see how many people we have live because reasons, I guess. Apparently none of my stuff wants to actually show me that. For some reason, Streamlabs also doesn't like to show me the chat or any of that stuff anymore. I don't know why. It's all kinds of messed up. But hopefully, in an ideal world, everything's fine. You guys are having a wonderful day so far. And today we are going to be doing something a little bit different with biblical gender roles. So, this is the 8th. Technically, it is the 9th because one of the episodes had to be a 2-parter episode of biblical gender roles. This time, I'm going to be tackling it alone because we have a video this time, a couple of videos. So Biblical Gender Roles as a website recently started a podcast, and I'm going to be getting to that later. But it turns out that they also have an old YouTube channel, and I've pretty much learned that older content, if it seems to be the same rhetoric that they're espousing now, is perfectly up for grabs. And, well, it's Biblical Gender Roles. They haven't changed their song and dance. So, that said, yes, Oz says, ha ha ha, that title. Drag says, are you going to link other platforms in the description? I'm going to eventually. I need to set it up as the default where it shows all the different platforms that I'm on, both in my About section and in my videos. I'm probably going to get to that once I'm done with this, because as soon as this video is done, I'm going to get some housekeeping stuff out of the way for my channel, and then get to recording tomorrow's episode, which is going to be the episode on chiropractic, which is a dangerous woo episode, because as anybody who has studied chiropractic for any amount of time knows, there's one side of chiropractic that can actually help out with certain symptoms, and then there's another side of chiropractic where they think that it can do everything from curing gonorrhea and cancer, which is obviously not fair. It's just like how with acupuncture, there are some things acupuncture can do. Acupuncture, however, cannot cure you of a bunch of the things that a lot of your New Age wooers think it can. The general rule is if you have something that says that it's holistic, chances are it's probably not, and you probably should not deal with it in that way. That said, so unfortunately, I know that you say a video, something tells me the voice will be cringe-inducing. As far as I know, this video does not have a voice behind it, but I think he does have another video at another point that has a voice behind it. And if memory serves, Biblical Gender Roles actually had a response to Rachel Oates somewhere on their video page, where I think he had a voice behind it as well. It's been months since I've checked it out. But, that said, Excellence USA says, the gift that keeps on giving, just like gonorrhea. Yeah. So, let's take a look and see what kind of stuff we have here. And Joshua Afromagic says, my first job was filing for a chiropractor. It is mostly pseudoscience. Yeah, that's kind of the problem, is that if you have a pinched nerve, or if you have joints that are going out of place in your back, or really anywhere in your body, your chiropractor is going to be able to do stuff for that because they are focused on dealing with your bones. However, there's a lot of stuff that says that, oh, well, this particular spinal joint is the thing that helps your digestion, and this particular spinal joint is the one that helps you What's the other? They have like one that says, "Oh, this one gets your immune system going. This one does this," and it's like, no, the spine does a lot of things, but not that. Skeptical Weeb says, "I'm thinking about making my own channel. Any advice?" Really, the best advice I was ever given, and the best advice I could ever give anybody, is that if you're starting your own channel, make your first video. It sounds dumb, but trust me, the idea of just saying screw it and firing the shotgun blast and just going right in, it sounds like it's not good advice. It sounds like it's silly, but the first one's the hardest one you'll ever be able to make, and it's the one that you're going to be improving on the most. After the difference between your first and second video is probably going to be astronomical based on the things you learned when you did your first video. So just doing it will help. As for co-host things, I won't be able to throw you into the actual video area at the moment because I've already got this formatted. But if you are wanting to hop in, Ocean, I am sending you a thing over the Discords because, of course, I am. Why not? So in an ideal world, we'll be able to hear you. Also, because this video does not actually get into using a voice...
I'm on a thing.
You're on a thing! Aha!
I'm on a thing. Hold on a second. Let me put on headphones. I've in a shoe.
Skeptical Weeb, I have no idea what skepticism and otaku content is, considering that I've got a butt-fuck ton of anime posters behind me, whilst I also employ skepticism. I have no idea how that could possibly work. But as soon as Ocean gets his headphones on, then we shall have that. Glad to see we're starting to lump. Purple Rental Word says, I'm glad to see you making a separation. It was sounding like people were starting to lump all chiropractors as woo. I know there are a lot of outrageous claims, but I know people they have helped. No, and as somebody who actually has back issues and has gone in for an adjustment before, the doctor that I went in for actually did understand that he was strictly a bone doctor, and the only thing he could possibly do was help with bones. He could not do anything besides that because that was outside of his field. Just as a neurosurgeon is not going to try to perform heart surgery, they're going to allow a cardiosurgeon to take care of that instead. You can do the things that are in your wheelhouse. The things outside of your wheelhouse are things that you ought to defer to an expert on, and a chiropractor is not an expert on your digestion. They're not an expert on your immune system. They're an expert on your bones. So yeah, going to the biggest problem I think I find is that there are some chiropractors that the one that I specifically am going to be dealing with, his name is Dr. Bergman, if you've heard of him, and he is an anti-vaxxer. He thinks that chiropractic is the answer to everything, including solving... I'm not going to say solving world hunger because I don't need to misrepresent somebody who does such a fine job of screwing himself over. But I'm going to be doing 2 videos on Dr. Bergman. The first one is going to be focusing specifically on chiropractic, and the second one is going to be focusing on his holistic medicine in general. Also, it sounds like Ocean is back.
I think I am. I'm pretty sure.
Welcome.
I have some fun chiropractic experiences. That I went to a chiropractor in South Africa at one point for an issue with my shoulder. It was suggested by a lot of people that I was with that this particular chiropractor was the person to go to and all that other shit. And it was a process called dry needling that was to alleviate some it wasn't joint pain, but it was like a tendon issue that I was having, and with the needling helped the issue. And I talked to him a little bit afterwards about the kind of the reputation about chiropractors and so on. What he was like, here's the issue, because he was part of kind of a network of chiropractors and stuff. That he said in America, there's this thing that chiropractic is unregulated in America, whereas it is regulated in a lot of other countries. So you wind up with like a scientific approach in a lot of other places where it is regulated, but where you don't have regulation, you get a lot of crap and woo. It starts to show up where people like wanting to if he said that like the big thing
that's the same thing as like essential oils and a lot of stuff here in America that doesn't get FDA regulated, so they're allowed to just slip in all of the nonsense.
Yeah, and he said that the main thing to look out for, he's like, there's some people that are probably legit practicing in America, but if they're like wanting to put you on some kind of subscription where you need to show up for more than like 4 treatments or something like that, and that you
Mm.
need to be there like monthly, and you keep there's nothing that's treated that way. He was like, I assure you, there is no issue that should be treated that way. You should be that if there's something that's chronic like that, you should be going to a different fucking doctor.
Yeah, because from this was a conversation I remember a year ago I had with, I think it was Steve and Reds. I want to say this was a long time ago, um, but we were talking about G-Man and his chiropractor stuff and how he swears by his chiropractor, and everybody was just like, you'd think if he's been going there for 5 years, he'd have fixed the problem by now.
Right. No, and it's the thing is with this guy, I was in South Africa for 2 months for this particular event, and I had 4 treatments, and then the issue went away.
Yeah, and that's
So
and like for me, I know that my back issue is chronic. So what I would need to be under isn't necessarily like I would need to be seeing something more along the lines of a masseuse because my issue is just pain management.
right, or an orthopedic. So like when it comes to like if it's chronic, then it probably has something to do with bone structure that is more in an orthopedic
Mm.
purview rather than a chiropractor. Like I don't know. There's a lot of like bullshit around that whole. The problem is that it's not regulated. If it's not regulated, then what's going to happen? You're going to get people that are fucking clowns getting involved in it.
Yeah, which is why I'm going to be focusing on Bergman because he was embroiled in some controversy a while back that I wanted to get onto, but I avoided it because at the time Leon Lush was doing if you're familiar with his channel, Leon Lush was doing a really good job dealing with it himself. So I just went, there's no reason for me to piggyback off of this. Instead, I'm going to tackle the science later instead of doing the just like knee jerk reaction content.
It's also really bad when it's like, say, it's unregulated and insurance covers it. So you're just gonna have a
Which
bunch of
is
clowns coming in and get those dollars.
which
You
is
know?
something that happens here. Actually the chiropractor that I saw a little north of Atlanta uh, vehemently denied, like he would not allow people to come in under insurance so that he could
Mhm.
keep his numbers down.
Right.
Which is, I don't know how I feel about that because on the one hand, having your insurance pay for a chiropractor is a good idea. On the other hand, it's not a good idea in our current environment. So it's kind of like this, it's this awkward like gray zone of problems. But all that said, this is very. I'm not going to say off topic because I brought up the topic
Yeah, it's
myself.
tangential to what you want to actually talk about in this
Yeah.
fucking video. I just have a chiropractic story and I wanted to share it as all. So
Do you want it to
like
feel special?
yes,
Fair enough.
yes, indeed. I always want us to feel special. You
Tiny
make me feel
Ocean.
special, Cirrus.
Tiny Ocean
Yes.
wanted to feel special.
Exactly. In fact, I'm gonna send you, um, since I can't be like on video. Uh,
Yeah, I'd have to
the
spend a minute or two just reformatting everything.
the picture that we should put there.
Well, the picture isn't going to be going there. What's going to be going there is the actual video itself.
Ew.
Oh, you mean like where you?
Oh no! I
where
mean, I'm in
you?
my little spot. I've got a
Oh,
spot.
yeah, you do have a spot. Go ahead and
Yeah.
send me the thing that's going in your spot before I put like
Okay.
Ocean in a clown suit there.
Oh Jesus Christ! So I'm gonna give you options.
Fair enough.
You can throw,
Um,
you can throw this there.
Before we get into it, Zach Forbes says, "I'm new to biblical gender roles. Could you explain in a few sentences?" I wish I could explain in a few sentences what biblical gender roles is, but basically, if you want the long and short of it, it is a husband who has been divorced, remarried, and uses the Bible as a method to espouse rape apologetics and abuse of minority groups and women. Uh, I think that's a concise. I think that's a very concise grouping of the things that biblical gender roles stands for. At least the person here who runs the blog and the channel, biblical gender roles. Obviously, the idea of biblical gender roles is a little more different. But this specific person, the specific content creator, if you would, that is the type of stuff that he makes articles about. So hopefully,
Housekeeping, real quick. Can you send me a link to the article we're looking at?
I just did.
Oh, you did?
Yes, it's a video. I just sent it to you. It's actually in
Where?
Discord. The thing that me and you were talking over, I sent it there.
I don't see anything.
You don't see anything?
Oh, wait a minute. I'm looking at a different... Oh, shit. I just spammed somebody else with pictures of myself. I'm going to not do that.
Kinky.
Hold on a second.
That's not what you intended at all.
It's just like, oh, shit. Oh, okay, now I need to... Okay, here we go. I just... Fuck me in the butt. All right. So there's that. And there's that. So you can pick one.
You know,
Look at me being stupid.
You know, it's gonna be the one that shows your character's a little more badass, but don't worry, I have a use for the other one as well.
Okay. Yeah,
So
you can...
we'll go ahead
use for the other one.
Yes, I do have use for the other one. You've been on my channel long enough to know that there's a certain level of taking things seriously, and there's a certain level of just like madness that happens instead. Things start out serious, usually. There we are.
Always, everywhere, all the serious, all the time.
All the serious?
All the serious.
That said, here we have uses for this one as well. This one shall go right here. Excellent. Perfect. Hi, people. There we are.
So that little tiny one is Tiny Ocean in Hell. Just if anybody's asking.
That was from the episode that we did on Hell.
Yes. All right. So
we are ready for the fun part.
Okay.
So
I'm going to start watching this video.
And it has no audio. It's basically a PowerPoint presentation.
Oh, it has no audio.
Yeah. I'm going to have to voice over it as we do it. This guy made a video and still made me voice over his shit. Because of course he did.
Creepy music playing.
Yes, I know. So I'm going to start it from the beginning so you guys can hear the creepy music.
Oh my god.
Not unlike the creepy music that happened during the fundraiser stream yesterday where we had Stilt Vader doing his jig.
Stilt Vader.
Oh, don't I it's okay. I can timestamp for you later.
Okay. Yeah, please do. Okay. Anyway.
All right. So we have equal rights for women, a blessing or a curse, and then making me wait a long time. On February 25th. Jeebus, why is that so loud? Okay. On February 25th, 1915, Anna Howard Shaw, champion of the women's suffrage movement in America, stated the following: I believe in women's suffrage, whether all women vote or no women vote, whether all women vote right or all women vote wrong. Whether women will love their husbands after they vote or forsake them, whether they will neglect their children or never have any children. I love that he highlighted forsake them, neglect their children, never have any children. That's the stuff he wants you to focus on.
Yeah. If women's suffrage is wrong, it's a great wrong. Okay.
And that's the thing he wants you to focus on there too. If women's suffrage is wrong, it's a great wrong in big quotes. Biggest. If it is right, it is a profound and fundamental principle, and that's the stuff he has in the small. Okay. Great. This is excellent.
Yeah, I'm just like continuing through the video.
After a century of equal rights for women, America celebrates the fact that women now outnumber men in colleges and universities. America celebrates women being in our military and in our police forces. Yeah, these all seem like good things. America celebrates women in science and in our business. So don't even pretend that you give a fuck about science, BGR. Don't even. Don't lie to me. But Anna Howard Shaw's missions have come true. Oh, women have forsaken their husbands. Women initiate 70% of divorces. Is it perhaps because we have a culture that historically has been very abusive towards women, and women getting rights means that they don't take that shit anymore? Is that perhaps the reason, Mr. BGR, my friend?
I'm just amazed this guy has a YouTube channel. I didn't even know that.
I know, right?
I just because I'm like, now I want to like look through his other shit. What we have here.
Okay. Also,
why did God make gender roles? It's the title of this video. It's 55 minutes long.
also, women initiating 70% of divorces. I wasn't aware that that was a problem. Like, so divorce is only a problem if you are married to the principle of marriage, but marriage is a completely arbitrary thing. So women initiating divorces, it doesn't matter. People that don't work out in relationships break up all the time. Eventually, you're going to hit a point where one person divorces the other more than one. Like, it doesn't.
I have a little bit of a counterpoint to that, though, because like marriage in a legal sense, even though like I agree with you, people break up all the time, and that should be fine. That the legal structure of marriage is designed such that divorce isn't easily done in a way that isn't like fucking catastrophic on a financial level for.
Well, yeah, because you've got things like alimonies, and there's people who have to deal with prenups beforehand, and like I understand that the idea of divorce is supposed to be the thing that keeps you together at some point because you don't want to deal with the financial blowback.
Right, and is that what you should be keeping you in a relationship, like especially if it's one that's like really bad?
I don't think you legitimately made a counterpoint. I think you just added another point in the other favor there.
It's like, but like, okay, so if you have women initiating 70% of divorces, it does there is like this like kind of point to be made that it is kind of at the disadvantage of the man to get into a marriage now. It's an old joke. This is a terrible joke, but my dad's been through a couple of divorces now, and he was just like, why get married when you can buy a woman that you hate a house? It's like, geez, Dad.
Wow, there's some red versus blue jokes that I will not say live on my channel that come to mind. But the no, when I see stuff like this, it's almost like a response to a created problem. Like you created a problem,
right?
And the response to the problem is that people are avoiding the problem, the marriage issue. Because I've seen there's also a lot of articles that have been going around like, oh no, millennials aren't getting married, the marriage industry is falling over, and it's like you created a problem, and people are just avoiding the problem by not participating.
It seemed like marriage is this risky thing now, is when you like legally combine yourself with somebody, and a lot of people just like there's been so many divorces, especially like the generation that's come before ours. What is it, like 50% or 60% of marriages end in divorce or something like that? With like when you get into Gen X marriages, and so millennials are seeing that. Like I can say this for myself. Like we're looking at that and being like, well, I don't want to do that unless the other party is going to be just as committed to it, and you don't really know that they're going to be just like.
You have no way of knowing that
when you get right. Like, if 14 years into the marriage, are you still going to be just as committed to it? And that's just there's so much apprehension about it because it's a freaking lifelong decision. And what's crazy is that you get people that are all about marriage, but they'll say, "Don't get a tattoo because it's a lifelong commitment." And you may not feel the same way as you do now when you get the tattoo.
A tattoo like marriage is something that's very expensive to remove. So the analogy works even better.
No, yeah, exactly. But they're saying like don't get a tattoo because that's a bad idea, right? Because it's a lifelong commitment towards something you're not going to feel the same. But then they want you to get married.
Yeah.
Right, and it's like, well, like. I think you get people. I don't know. There's so much weirdness about that whole thing, but
it's a very strange thing when you see the response here, because and bear in mind, when you create a video, especially when you've got a 3-minute video where you're condensing a lot of information into a small area, every word you have in that video is going to be measured. It's going to be something that you are saying for a purpose. So that means that everything that this person has shown so far has been for a purpose. Now, we haven't finished the video, so we don't know quite
Right.
what that purpose is. I can assume what it is because I'm quite intimately familiar with BGR at this point. I hate that
Yeah,
fact.
no, what I the thing is that while I might have like little areas of agreement with like kind of what I think he's going for, I do think that the overall message that he's trying to present is very like MGTOW,
Yeah.
um, or like really fucking, just like
I want to see it.
this like women are trash perspective that is
if there's
often
an
shows up
if
in
there's
super.
an article if there's an article somewhere on his website where he specifically says that he's an MRA, I would not be surprised.
I mean, he makes all the same points that they do.
Yeah, if it quacks
But
like
then
a
he gets
duck.
into, like the trad, like he gets like super trad about it, and like where I'm not gonna say anything bad about like traditional, uh, like when you get into like traditional marriage approach and stuff like this. For some days, like for a lot of people that works, um, for some people it doesn't work. But this guy's like getting into this like it's objectively right to have a trad marriage, and
But how?
you know, it's
It,
not. No, I agree with you. Like
you just kind of it's
people structure their
weird.
lives in all kinds of ways, and trad is one of them, and non-trad is totally fucking fine.
Like if somebody wants to go for nuclear family, I'm not going to be like, no, your relationship must be polyamorous and it must contain at least 5 people. I'm not.
Right, polyamory is not for me, for example, but
Yeah,
but that's me managing my life. Me saying that it's not for me isn't to say, sir, it shouldn't be for you either, because
yeah. You're not.
that's me being a fucking dickhead.
You're not going to
Right.
hop into my. You're not going to hop into my house and just be like, okay, look, I understand that you want to live your own life, but you're living with a whole bunch of people here, and I don't like that. You're not going
Right.
to do that.
Like what the fuck?
I'm going to
I don't
continue.
know.
I'm going to continue his cringe factory and see if it can.
Yeah,
pump out
let's
any
take a
more
look at
fun.
this cringe.
All right. Many women live for education, careers, and the pleasures of this world and never have any children. Ah, there we are. I'm
See, this
surprised
is
that
another
he
thing pisses me off.
the pleasures of this world. The only world that you are guaranteed is this one.
It seems
Everything
like
else is something that you might get.
it seems like what he kind of does here is now he's just mad at women living for themselves.
Instead of living for his cock, yes.
Instead of right, exactly. Like uh, and to there's a certain amount of blowback that like avowed bachelors get for a similar sort of reason where it's like Lewis. I was listening to Lewis Black talk about this recently where he was saying that he likes being a bachelor. He wants to live his life as a bachelor, and that occasionally he'll bump into like a nice couple at an airport or something like that, and they'll talk about how much they love his comedy and stuff like that, and then they'll ask him if he's married, and he'll say no, and the response that he gets is just like this sadness of, oh, why are you breathing? And but we do, in spite of like having that sort of like weird social attitude about bachelors, we do accept that they exist and that it's fine. Or that we want to get, or even that we want to get married later. Like instead of getting married at like, 22, we get married at like, somewhere in our 30s sometimes now. So, but, this idea that women need to like not live for education and careers and never have children, like this is like a horrible fucking thing. Like people are individuals and people want to live their lives the way that they want to, and we should have the freedom to be able to live our lives how we fucking want to. Like it's a little over the top to shame the Bachelor as well as like shame the woman equivalent of the Bachelor. Like
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what you would call. I don't know. There's probably a name for that, or maybe it's just Bachelor. But
I mean, you mean
you know,
bachelorette?
Bachelorette, is that what it is? Okay,
I believe it's bachelorette.
Party. Yeah. Okay. But yeah, like that should be fine.
Oh, by the way, so what would your definition of bachelor be? Because I have a thing for Steve, depending on what the definition is.
I go with currently unmarried.
Currently unmarried.
Yeah, I don't like. I know that like never married is one, right?
Okay.
And that if you've been married before, you're not a bachelor anymore. You're like a divorcee. But
Let's see. Google. What does the Google give?
I think that
things.
if you're divorced, then you're a bachelor.
Hold on. Let's see here. Bachelor definition. I'm trying to a man who has not. So Google says a man who has not and has never been married. But again,
right.
You don't agree with that one.
I don't agree with it. I think that I think that just kind of makes the term kind of pointless. I don't know.
I think the term in general is just kind of pointless. You could just go with single.
Yeah, there you go. I mean, but bachelor has a regal sounding to it. All right, come on.
Okay, it sounds regal,
and
but
being a human Benedict myself, you know.
But you damn it. But Kent Hovind could go with the more regal sounding theologian, and I could just go with the more accurate con artist.
Well, yeah, tomato, tomato.
Yeah,
but, six in one hand, half a dozen in the other.
Potato, but people who say potato are objectively wrong.
Tomato. It's tomato. Come on. Who says potato?
Exactly.
Who says
there's
that?
going to be somebody in the chat. There's going to be somebody in the chat who says, "Hey, I say
Somebody
potato."
in the chat is going to be like, "Look, I say potato." Yeah.
I say potato and unsubscribed.
Unsubscribed from your bigoted ass.
I've what's funny is I've gotten more unsubscribed comments in the last week and a half than I've ever gotten before. However,
is it from your criticism of the Hunter fellow?
It is, but conversely, for fun, this has also been the highest growth that I've seen.
Okay,
so it's like the most unsubscribes.
I'm kind of weirded out that you're getting so much. That you're getting flack for criticizing this Hunter fellow, because like I'm watching his videos and I'm just like, damn, this guy's like kind of a douche. Like, why?
It's because the typical, and it's why I might do more videos on him in general, because it seems like the more I watch of him, the more I have to criticize.
Well, yeah, but like, what's the love of him about?
It's so
like, this is one of those things where I just don't like. Every once in a while, a YouTuber comes up and I'm like, why does this guy have so many subscribers?
It's a confirmation bias thing. So, for instance, if you agree with a lot of the prejudices and a lot of the we'll just go with bigoted opinions that Hunter espouses, when you watch someone like Hunter, it's very, very validating. And as opposed to listening to something from the other side that makes you consider, you listen to him and he validates you. And because a lot of his opinions are very bigoted opinions, once you go into being validated by this person, the types of people who are going to be validated by Hunter are the types of people who are going to tell you such wonderful things as, let me find did you see the comment on Twitter that I found before the guy was able to delete it?
Yeah, I half read that. Like, what was the whole deal there?
I have it. Hold on one second. I can grab it.
We're totally. Desktop. This is what happens when Cirrus and I are on a channel together. We start running the topic.
All right. So here was the comment before the guy had a chance to delete it. It was, Cirrus, because you guys are crybabies that can't handle a slight of criticism without the need to cut your own wrist. It's yourselves killing your own selves out here pretending that others... And I couldn't find the rest of the comment because he deleted it when I tried to click it. I got a screenshot of it before he got a chance to do that, so I still have some of the comment.
Like, what? Why? Why?
It's not always the case, because I've gotten a few people that are Hunter's fans that are like, actually, these were valid criticisms of Hunter. This is interesting. But there are a lot of people
the only criticism that you got that I understand is like, hey, it's an old video, but then you posted a newer video
where he said the same shit.
Right. Or it's just like, this hasn't changed, guys. Like, I don't know what your point is. And I started like trolling around his channel myself, and I didn't get it. Like, I don't know. It's edgy comedy and all that shit. Fine, but
see, you can do.
I also don't understand why you weren't able to make fun of his comedy. Like, his jokes are bad. I love like stand-up comedy. Like, I laugh my ass off at like Bill Burr, and Bill Burr makes a lot of jokes that maybe are uncouth, but this guy wasn't even like Bill Burr.
No, a lot of it was just like cringe. Like, you hear it and you're like, if you're I don't want to be that type of person that says like thinking wrong, because then like that has Orwellian undertones. But it's like if everything you think aligns close enough with what Kent Hovind thinks, then this might be funny.
God damn it.
Like I hate the fact that I do have to word it that way, because someone's going to go in and be like, oh no, sir, this is accusing people of wrongthink. I'm not accusing people of wrongthink, but there's things that are objectively wrong. And if you think them, you're thinking objectively wrong. So I guess yes. But that's still not the same thing.
Objectively stupid, maybe. But
if you think the earth is flat, it's objectively wrong. If you think that being gay is a choice, it's objectively wrong. It's both stupid and... You can be both. You can be stupid and wrong.
Have you seen... there's a thing under, like, radical lesbians. There's about being a lesbian as a choice. And they call it, like, political lesbianism. Have you heard of that stuff?
Wait, what?
Oh, this is a thing.
Oh, no,
that might be a project for you in the future.
That sounds like a project.
Yeah, where it's like it's a radical... I'll send you some stuff, but there's this activist, one in particular, that has this whole idea of where she says being a lesbian is a choice. And
does she not realize that by okay, so is she trying to be pro-lesbian?
Yes.
Does she not realize that by saying it's a choice, she's actually feeding the other side?
She says that by saying it's not a choice, you're feeding the other side.
You know how I said that there are things you can think that are objectively wrong?
Right.
And they can be objectively stupid at the same time? This is an example of that.
I'm coming at this from having looked at her opinion and I get what she's saying. I just disagree with it completely. But, but there it is. So yeah, I'll send you this because it's an interesting.
I'll need to take a look at it.
It exists.
I'll need to take a look and do some research on it. But based on the blurb that you've given me, all I can think is if your thought process aligns closer to Kent Hovind, you're closer to being wrong.
Here's the gist of it: is that she views choice lesbianism, right? Choosing lesbianism politically as a way of rejecting the patriarchy, and that you should be like that breaking up with men, like you shouldn't be dating men if you're a feminist.
So wait, hold on.
Yeah.
So
don't.
Okay. That's a conversation that I would want to see between her and someone like Matt Dillahunty, who is a vocal feminist.
Well, you're just gonna be having like someone mansplain to her sexuality, right? At that point,
there are things that are objectively wrong. Oh my gosh! No.
Just look out, dude. No, you should get like if there's gonna be a conversation on this issue, it should probably be like.
I'm gonna research it before doing a lot of conversation on it, but it's a.
Yeah. No, it's definitely. There's a lot of like moving parts to that little thing there.
Also, anyway, you know how I said that Ocean, that you were a clown, like Clown Cap Ocean, before you got your actual stuff up.
What? Is there a?
Yes.
You might need to DM this to me before you.
Oh, I don't need to DM anything to you.
Oh no.
It's just going up on the stream. I don't need to DM anything to you.
Delayed reaction.
It's just. I don't see anything yet. Just right here. It's just Clown Ocean.
It's gonna be a solid 5 seconds before
I'm sorry. You may want this like badass water elemental version of yourself to be the canon one, but to my channel, Tiny Ocean.
Actually,
is canon.
You know what? Just to be fucking fair with you, I kind of love that little Clown Ocean. Like that's kind of adorable. It has more hair than I do.
This one is from Recovering Casosexual.
Okay.
it's Spooky Boy Ray. It's Spooky Boy Ray. But they have their thing as Recovering Casosexual. Zach says, which do you hate more, those who say sexuality is a choice or those who say mental illness is a choice? Both, because they both cause the exact same problems and they typically are espoused by the same people. the people who say that mental illness is some type of a choice are usually
Whoa.
yeah.
Whoa. Hold the phone. What? Mental illness is a choice now?
There are people who say that. Steven Anderson is one of them. Also,
Jeez.
there are some very hardline atheists who say this, and you know exactly how they word it. Religion is a mental illness.
Oh yeah, that religion is mental illness.
Yes, yeah. which de facto would mean that it's a choice.
You're choosing a delusion.
Which means what I'm saying right now is, if you are an atheist and you think that being religious is a mental illness, I put you in the same category as someone like Steven Anderson. I am sorry. It sucks. But you are causing the same problems.
I don't know what to do. Oh, God. I don't know. You know my opinion on this stuff.
Yes.
Where it's just like, oh, good Lord. Okay. All right. We're just going to take a step back from that. We have a video.
We do. We do. No, what was bad is that I had to crack out the DSM-5 definition of delusion for my last Hunter video.
I'll send you some stuff choice feminism and political lesbianism are a little bit different, but like as in by radically different. Like choice feminism is about women having the choice to live their lives how they want to, but then there's political lesbianism, which is choosing your sexuality into lesbianism in order to get back at the man or something, and rebel against the patriarchy. So interesting stuff.
I'll have to do some research on it. Whew, I'm gonna continue to play this particular brand of madness for now.
Right, exactly. Like before we go into a whole nother world. But I'll send you some stuff.
It says women who do have children often leave them in the care of others to pursue their own selfish dreams.
Selfish dreams.
Dream. Okay, I wasn't aware that pursuing, like, I know that there are some cases where a woman will, for instance, leave her child in the care of the grandparents and then go off to do whatever. There's some cases where, like, there was one on YouTube that I think got on Dr. Phil at one point, where the woman, like, left to go be with her sugar daddy and left the child with it was either aunt and uncle or grandparents, and like there was a big drama between the two of them. So there are cases like that where this
is such an exception, though. Come on now.
It is an exception. It is an exception. So, but I'm saying that so I can say that yes, there are cases where this happens and it's a problem. However, by painting it all as a broad brush, by painting all of this as women are leaving their children and this is horrible, that's not always the case. You're literally having to take a giant paintbrush as big as an inkling splat roller and paint everything with it. And I'm sorry, that works in fucking turf war, but it doesn't work in reality. I hope everybody here plays Splatoon, because that's the only way that joke is going to land.
It's lost on me. I'm sorry.
Ocean, you are not a man of culture, though. We already understand.
I haven't seen anything or played anything that you have. Like, it just isn't like we just are.
It's unfortunate, actually. But here recently on my last stream, somebody challenged me to a game of Yu-Gi-Oh! on air.
Oh yeah,
that was fun. And after they lost, me and Objectively Dan fought in Hearthstone. And after he lost,
I saw you playing Hearthstone. Like, I would not play a card game with you in which there was any real money on the table.
Why?
Because I would lose. It doesn't matter. If there's any real money on the table, like, that's just me. I might as well just hand you money and walk away and save myself the shame of being, dressed down in a card game.
I'm sorry that, like, card games are my thing. Like, researching, I learned statistics to play better card games.
Oh, you're that guy.
Yes.
You're the guy with the spreadsheet.
I'm the guy that, when determining how many consistency cards to add into a deck, uses a bell curve.
So anyway, women leaving their children with...
Also, Excellence USAF asked, do I play Magic? I play mono green and green blue in Magic. Joseph says, what deck do you play in Hearthstone? I have Dragon Secret Paladin, I have Murloc Shaman, and I have, what's the other one that I ran? Token Druid in Hearthstone. Anyway.
Someone just said, woo, undressed ocean.
Undressed Ocean is going to come in. Dinobotful says, Cirrus, have you played the Pokemon trading card game? I ran, semi-competitively, I ran Quad Lapras and Waterbox when I was playing Pokemon competitively. I was never that great at Pokemon because some of the concepts that I'm used to don't translate terribly well to Pokemon. Yeah. Oz says, I'm jumping ship, patronage revoked. I can't believe you're that guy, Cirrus. Jack says, five color sliver deck. The only time I've ever ran slivers was in draft when we were playing Two-Headed Giant, and me and a friend drafted 5 color slivers in order to win the tournament because nobody expects you to pull a 5 color sliver deck in draft, so they just gave us all the cards for it. That never happened twice, by the way. Nobody ever let us get slivers ever again. This is during Time Spiral Block. And Excellent says blue EDH. Sorry, people who play blue and EDH need to never play EDH. Mono blue and EDH is actual cancer. Please stop. Get some help.
Biblical gender roles is here.
Biblical gender roles is here, but far more interesting things are happening in the chat.
I know, we're talking about card games.
Yes.
But I see faded in.
Someone are proud of murdering their own children. We have the anti-abortion.
Here we go. This is a thing that's coming in.
That's just slip it in there. Just slip it in. Get some Astroglide and slip that shit right in there.
There's a it's just like halfway a debate strategy. Which is like there's a way of like phrasing accusations like this.
Yes, it's a rhetorical approach.
Yeah. There's a lot of question begging, a lot of assumptions that are being made here. This is one of those comments that, like, in order to actually address it, I was talking with Shannon about this, that in order to actually address something, and we even talked about it on here with Mel, that like you can have a statement that just has so many things wrong with it that it's going to take like 7 or 8 times the amount of space that it took in order to fuck it up, in order to explain why it's fucked up.
This is why like skeptic response videos usually take so much longer than the video they're responding to.
Yeah.
Because there's so many things to unpack. Like look at I go into detail when I'm deconstructing something, but I don't go into the same amount of detail that someone like Logic does when he deconstructs something. I've heard people go, Logic goes on tangents, but I'm like, no, Logic's usually focused. It's just there's so much bullshit to unpack. It sounds like tangents. Tangents is what we got into here talking about magic in Hearthstone.
Yeah, that has nothing to do with the video at all.
Yeah, this is tangential.
Unless we wanted to try and relate it. I don't know how we do that though. But choose lesbianism.
I can say there is a way to relate it, but it's the type of black humor that I really would not say on my channel.
God damn it!
But it relates the current state of Yu-Gi-Oh to abortion.
I just want everybody here to know, Cirrus is actually a horrible person. Like he's worse than I am. But whatever.
But whatever. You know why,
it's
though?
Fine, guys.
It's because I'm an atheist and you have a god that's moving your morality.
That's what it is.
Yeah, that's what it has to be.
Yeah. Right. Because, I can't.
Excellent says taps ocean for blue mana. Oh my god.
Is that what I am as a fucking mana card?
Yes.
Come on. I gotta be better than that.
We're gonna get you. No, you're a creature that says tap for 1 blue mana. You're the Llanowar elves of blue.
But I cost 8 mana to put on the table.
Yes. You're a horribly inefficient Llanowar elves for blue.
Hey, but I've got a 12/12 attack defense, so that's all good. You know what? I'm all right. I can block some shit.
Sci-Fi Mind says that this guy is Norse pagan. Tell him how you destroyed my Valhalla. Oh, right.
Wait, what?
The person, Sci-Fi Mind, was the one who played me in Yu-Gi-Oh yesterday on the live stream, and they used a Valhalla deck,
Uh-huh.
and the first thing I did was destroy it. That was the first move I made in our game, was destroying
Well,
Valhalla.
does that mean the deck went to Valhalla? Did you send a Valhalla deck
You,
to Valhalla? Is
you
that
know
what
what's weird?
happened?
You know what's weird? I just realized this. So in Yu-Gi-Oh, Valhalla is used for fairy cards, which usually have
Hmm.
a lot more. Well, they're called Angel in the original dub, which means
Yeah.
that Valhalla is used to support more of the Christian themed cards, and Valhalla is not, however, used by the deck that actually uses Thor, Loden, and Loki. It's not used by the actual Norse deck because there is a Norse deck, and Valhalla is not
Oh,
used by it.
weird.
Yeah, awkward, very awkward.
Why would you do that?
I I don't know. I have no idea. But that said,
Apparently, there's going to be a magic card of me soon. It says ocean should be immune to everything except for extreme heat and cold. Everything else should pass through water.
I think Jack has already made one of those in the fan art section.
A, an ocean magic card?
I think so. You have to check through
What?
the art. You have to check through the artwork section of Discord, but I think it's hidden in there somewhere.
I'm not. I don't. If you find it, let me know.
I will.
Like, send it to me.
But
'Cause
no, the
that's really cool.
also Damien said the women who are using abortion as a form of birth control. You're talking about a percentage of a percent for that.
Yeah. Oh wait, are we moving on?
We
Let's
we are,
see.
we are moving on,
Yeah,
but I'm
God
responding to
says-
something that was in the chat. But God says, I will therefore that the younger woman marry, bear children, guide the house. Wait,
Women marry, bear children, guide the. Okay.
but Mary never guided the house. Or what young woman should marry and guide the house? Except women don't
Oh,
guide the
that's
house
the
at
whole
all.
like. No, that's that. Women are the in charge of the household. Men are in charge of the direction of the household, or some shit like that. Like,
Which functionally makes men in charge of the household.
Well, yeah, but like it's what is it? There is a Norse way of putting this, which I know that the Norse understanding is way different than the Christian, but that there was a dispute in Njal's saga about marriage, and one of the things that was put on the table was has the man in this situation given dominion of the household to the woman, because that's what should be happening, that everything that is within the house should be the woman's purview, and it was determined that that was happening, so that that wasn't among the faults of the man in this situation. So because it's a divorce that gets really complicated in the saga, so you wind up learning a little bit about like how divorce was approached in Njal's saga, where like the woman had agency to leave if she wanted, but there was also like, in order to retain your reputation afterwards, you had to provide good reason. And like the reason winds up being discussed in the saga, which it eventually turned out. This is like, Norse sagas are hilarious. The actual reason why they were getting divorced was because his penis was too big. But that's Norse sagas for you. But under like under the rules, like under what is conventions in there is that like that what is within the house is kind of like the woman should be like the one who is in control of what's going on in the house, essentially, or how the house is structured. And that like, I don't know. So in that, I do see some parallels between Christianity and the Norse understanding in that regard, that it does seem like that to guide the house might be that kind of thing. But the rest of this, I will therefore that younger women marry, bear children, and guide the house, starts to walk in, like when you consider like all three of those, it goes into this like weird direction, and that's where the Norse might disagree, because like women had a much more personal agency in Norse culture. So
Simon does stuff, or Simeon does stuff, says a housebender, if you will.
there you go. There you go.
Ah, yes. The four elements lived in harmony until the housebending nation attacked. Okay. What is the rest of this thing? Rather than forsaking their husbands and neglecting their children, I love how the only rhetoric that this person uses is the negative rhetoric when referring to women, like strictly the negative rhetoric. God tells women to love their husbands, to love their children, to be discreet, chaste keepers at home. You know, I'm going to go ahead and say this. It sounds like based on biblical gender roles, women should be house elves.
Well, not only that, but they should be discreet, chaste, keepers at home, good and obedient to their own husbands. So they shouldn't be having sex with their husbands?
Because they're supposed to be chaste.
Chaste, right. A good...
Why? This contradicts everything that he's ever written on his blog.
Christianity is weird. Do you see that? Like, does that make sense? I'm going to look this up in context. I want to see what's going on here.
A woman can't be here and there. Well, actually, if we had better workplace regulations that allowed for you to bring your child to work when you need to, especially if it's an office environment and therefore it's an environment where this can be allowed, you're not dealing with customers all day, then actually, yes, the woman could be in both places. Wouldn't be that hard.
1 second. Before we move on to there, I want to look up this shit in Titus.
Sure, go ahead. Although for what it's worth, I think that Titus in the Bible may be at least a little less cringy than Titus in Final Fantasy X.
That was low. That was low.
Do you know the laugh?
That was low.
Do you know the laugh?
Yeah, I do.
You know the laugh?
Okay. All right. Yeah, that's fine.
It's good.
Okay. Yeah. All right. I agree with you.
Because I might have to play the laugh.
Don't play it.
I might have to play the laugh.
Don't do it. You don't need to do it. So Titus 2:1. But as for you, teach what is consistent with sound doctrine. Tell older men to be temperate, serious, prudent, and sound in faith, love, and endurance. Likewise, tell older women to be reverent in behavior, not be slanderers or slaves to drink. They are to teach what is good.
Yes, so the women should never have sex, but the men can't have alcohol. Bad.
Well, no, this is older women. Older women be
women.
reverent in behavior and slanderers or slaves to drink. So he's saying don't be. He's telling older ladies not to be a lush. And then Titus 2:4 says, so that they may encourage young women. Older women need to encourage young women to love their husbands and to love their children. So I think he might be using to be self-controlled, chaste, good managers of the household, kind, being submissive to their husbands, so that the word of God may not be discredited. Likewise, urge younger men to be self-controlled, show yourself in all respects models of good works, and teaching to show integrity and gravity and sound speech that cannot be censured. And so it does, and then it talks about slaves being subservient to their masters. 2:9.
But you can't take it out of context, though.
Back.
Can't take it out of context. Don't use the actual context.
Right. Oh boy. All right.
Also, fair warning.
Before we unpack all that,
I do have a thing to tell everybody. And
what's up? I'm just hearing silence. Did you drop?
Oh no! Don't worry. The people in the chat will know what I did. They might scream at me.
Oh, did you play the laugh?
I played the laugh.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
Anyway, let's continue.
Oh no. Motherfucker. All right, so
the live chat. Why? What? So much confusion.
Is it spelled the same way as Titus in the Bible?
No, it's not.
Or is it Tidus? Okay.
It's Tidus.
Okay. So we have all this shit here where there is like some stuff about men, younger men, to be self-controlled, but there's with all this other stuff that's like packed onto young women, love their husbands, love their children, to be self-controlled. It's good better to the God community. What's the yeah, this is weird. I don't know. This is like one of the main differences between, like, one of those big differences between Christianity. I say main difference. It's not one of the main differences, but those
main differences
like,
in this regard, like how relationships are perceived.
Like in the Norse understanding and in the Christian understanding, like women are afforded way more fucking agency in the Norse understanding, and this like Christian view like puts a command on how women are supposed to behave, and then all of a sudden like it locks it in, like that there's this like objective command of you must behave this certain way, you must fulfill this certain cultural, regardless of the changes in culture, which I think is a little over the top.
Yeah, because you have to consider the fact that it should be religion that comports itself to culture, not culture that comports itself to religion.
Yeah, and
one of these things moves forward.
One thing that's really strange is that like there's this idea, like there's so many jobs being created in America and all this stuff, and there's immigration happening in order to cover the new jobs that are being made, and this guy's approach would eliminate half the job working force. So then what do you do?
He doesn't want the economy to boom. He doesn't like it.
I don't know, that was one of the whole women working thing was something that showed up in the I saw
Ocean,
that Ocean comes and goes with the Titus.
No, we're even worse. I'm so sorry, Ocean. Titus goes in, Titus goes out. You can't explain that.
Oh
no. There's only one thing I can say to that. There's only one thing I can say to that at all.
You're playing it again, aren't you?
Yes, I am.
Oh, no.
You know that just came out for the Switch, right?
Final Fantasy X?
Yeah.
Came out for the Switch? I have it on my computer. Like, I have it on PC, so... I still haven't played it on PC.
I'm a big advocate for getting a bunch of my games on the Switch just because it means that I can, like, go to the toilet and play. Like...
Everybody keep that image for yourself.
If I'm fighting you in Smash Brothers, it's on the shitter.
There you go. 9 times out of 10, Cyrus is playing video games. He's pooping.
Oh my god. Titus's laughing sounds like Yahweh trying to understand human emotion.
Oh, Jesus.
Kadama said, "Stop, you're making me an atheist." Oh my god.
I love how you have so many pagan, like, people that show up in your chat. Like, this is great.
I do too. I prefer having a diverse chat than just having a chat of a bunch of atheists that are just like, let's bash religion. Like, no, let's please not.
Yeah, exactly.
Let's talk about ideas.
We can bash Christianity all we want, though. So
yeah, but again, at that point, we're not bashing. We're going, hey, look, here's a thing that's wrong. We're criticizing. Oh my gosh. What's the next bit? Anna Howard Shaw was right about one thing. If women's suffrage is wrong, it is a great wrong. So women's suffrage is just wrong then, according to BGR. Okay. Let's see here. Let's do a thing. Also, Blackie. Come here, boy. Come here. I don't know what you're doing out, but you need... No, why are you going away? I guess my cat does not want to come closer.
I honestly hate, like, fading in text because I feel like I can't read it until it's done.
There's a reason...
And then as soon as it's done, it goes to the next slide, and I'm like, fuck,
it goes away. You know, this person didn't learn how to make PowerPoints in middle school, obviously. Then again, the fact that this person is not able to do things that a basic middle schooler could do does not surprise me. But let's see here. Women's suffrage is just the right for women to vote. Like, in a finite sense, it's the right for women to vote, and it can be expanded outward past that. This person is basically saying that the right for women to vote is a great wrong. Okay.
Well, you know, because when women vote, it opens the door to all these other things, like having jobs.
Yeah. This is the one time where, like, Somebody just go, what is the reductio ad absurdum for women voting, women having the rights to jobs? Okay, it sounds perfectly fine.
Yeah.
Like, I can't think.
Or women going to school or something, you know.
Yeah, I can't think of a like. Obviously, you could say that like the reductio is just the overthrowing of the patriarchy, but like that's not a realistic reductio. So I don't know. BGR makes me sad. BGR makes me very sad.
Oh, have you seen this Deuteronomy?
Oh my God! I call heaven and earth to record this day to you, that I have set before you life and death, blessing and cursing. Therefore, choose life, that both thou and thy seed may fade away. God damn it! That thou and thy seed may live.
Thou and thy seed may fade away.
What does that have to do? What does that have to do with anything that you've pointed out?
I think it's an abortion thing.
Only because
Therefore,
it has
choose
the words.
Life is usually quoted by pro-life people.
Oh my God! It's great that the only pro-right stance that really exists is a religious one here in America. Please kill me.
Well, I mean, there's the atheist pro-life movement.
There is, but I'll be honest. Anytime I've seen anybody from that movement go into a debate, I have seen them flounder and flop. And not.
What about? Okay, so, fucking, what is her name? Atheist bitch. You know what I'm talking about. She's kind of punk, but she's pro-life as fuck.
No idea.
You don't know what I'm talking about? Okay, well, that lovely bitch, I think, is the name that she goes by. She's an atheist, pro-life debater, actually, and activist. And she's probably, as far as like the atheist position on pro-life, she's really good at presenting it.
Mm-hmm.
But she does, like, her points are very distinct from the religious argument, and I think that she still holds, if I'm correct about her beliefs, that she still holds that it should be legal. It just is, she considers it immoral.
Well, that's fine. In the video that I did about abortion, when I was talking about Ashton Birdie, I pointed out that you can take the position that it's an evil. You can take the position that it's completely evil, and you are still left with a necessary evil because we don't live in an idealistic world. So, right. I don't care if somebody says it's immoral or moral. I frankly don't give a shit. I think that doesn't get us anywhere. Legality is the only. When we're talking about this particular issue, the only thing that we should be talking about is legality, because your morality and somebody else's morality isn't going to line up.
I think that the area where the two of you might disagree, though, is that I think that she holds the position that it shouldn't be socially acceptable, in the same way that a lot of pro-choice people think that it should be socially acceptable. Like, it should be.
That's like saying I hold the position that gay marriage should be legal, but it should not be socially acceptable.
Right,
I find that fucking stupid.
You get people that are like that too, though.
Yeah, I find that position.
That's an odd position to me.
I find the position nightmarishly fucking stupid.
Yeah.
Like, usually you're not. Usually, I don't get into like a lot of expletives, but that is my phrasing of that.
I think
nightmarishly fucking stupid.
I think that she views abortion legalization like a lot of people view heroin legalization.
Okay, but even then, do they? So usually, when somebody wants to say something shouldn't be socially acceptable, they've taken exactly zero time to understand the actual social implications of saying something should not be socially acceptable. Usually, the issue that we find in a lot of like hard drug cases, it's not just the drug that causes the problem; it's also society's reaction to that causes issue. So again, I said it before, I'll say it again. I view that position as nightmarishly really fucking stupid.
Yeah, and I agree with you. I'm just trying to represent her position as best I can, because I disagree with it too. But
that's fine, and I definitely respect the attempts to steelman the position, because that's the only.
That's all I'm trying to do.
Yeah, and that's the only way that I can come to a conclusion about the position is if you bring it in a steelman form.
Right.
But I just when I hear a position like that, I get to this awkward point where I start asking the whys, and usually what happens is we go down this rabbit hole where we get to personal justifications for the whys, and I go, okay, but why ought I care about your personal justifications? As far as I'm concerned, I don't give a fuck about them. Like,
yeah.
your personal reason for X doesn't have to be mine, nor would I want it to be, therefore why should I care? If you were talking about why we should do things as a society, we're going to make appeals to something that is not your personal X. So your personal X does not matter here.
My personal X.
I mean, it could be your personal Y or your personal A, B, C, D, but okay, I like X.
I was like...
I like X.
I'm just trying to figure out what the context of this verse that we're looking at is as well. Like I'm reading back through Deuteronomy, and what's frustrating is like that the Bible contains like a lot of these passages that can be considered empty rhetoric until you see like what's actually the source of the rant that's in there, because the Bible contains like a lot of rants. Let's be fucking
it does.
But a few verses before this, God's ranting about circumcision.
You know what the best thing about circumcision is in the Bible?
But I can't find like what the actual issue is.
The fact that
so go ahead.
My favorite thing about circumcision in the Bible is the fact that an apt bride price is 200 circumcised foreskins.
Well, yeah, that's one of the you know the source of that, like why it was like how you get those. It's war.
Well, yeah, because you go to war and you take those because it essentially converts them into the Jews, doesn't it?
Right. You take the foreskins of your fallen enemies. It was the same thing as ears, essentially. You would it was ears or scalps or something like that. There's been a number of like body part trophies.
It's a method of trophies. It would just for Judea, foreskins make sense because circumcision was part of the culture. So circumcising the enemy was like forcing them to comport to your culture.
It was taking them from their culture. That was another thing.
Yes.
But
people in the comment section are like, "Do what?" Like, wait, you guys didn't realize that like thieving of foreskins was a thing in the Bible?
No, like I want to say David does that at some point.
David does it. The King Solomon, I believe, tells David that if you want to marry my daughter, Saul says, if you want to marry my daughter, Solomon was the wise one. Saul was the king here. He tells David, if you want to marry my daughter, I need you to go out into the fields of the enemy, and I need you to bring back 100 foreskins to prove that you have killed 100 of the enemy, to prove that you're worthy of my daughter. So David comes back with 200, saying that I did you double, sir.
And that was the that's, if you want to get into the fun story of David, that's the beginning of the end for Saul, because it winds up with songs being sung in Saul's court of, Saul is claimed as thousands, but David is claimed as tens of thousands.
Yes, because during
Saul
that
was just like not okay with that.
Yeah, Saul ends up going from being favored in God's eyes to constantly trying to destroy God's man at that point, and Oz says
it's a really awesome little drama, actually. The rise of David. If you want to read, like, First Samuel is awesome in the Bible. If you want to just like crack it open and read like some good stuff. I've actually really liked the Old Testament for that. It's got some really cool stuff in it like that.
We need to have a version of that that's just like put in modern day. We're just like, instead of cutting off foreskins, the person just like cracking fingers off of people that he's killed in the military.
No. Keep it foreskins.
Keep it foreskins.
Why do you want to take away the interesting parts?
You just see him come back with just like a bunch of flesh wrapped around his fingers.
You're just gonna piss off all the purists, sir. So you gotta get it right.
Whew. You know what sucks?
Foreskins also works because there's only one of them. Like, if you come back with a bunch of left and right ears, everybody's like, well, did you kill 100 people?
Or did you kill 50?
Or did you kill 50 people? But if you come back with foreskins, you can't get more than one of those off a person.
I'm going to continue to the next thing. Let's see what we have here. As Christians, we must raise our sons and daughters to reject the evil philosophy that is devouring our culture like a cancer. Okay, but what evil philosophy? And secondly, I've always wondered why people say evil philosophy. That's strange.
This guy, like, as soon as the text is done, there's like 3 frames that has everything in it.
And then it goes away.
Sons and daughters.
That evil philosophy is feminist.
I was about to say it's probably feminism. Yeah. Oh,
Usually,
the last frame's great.
oh, what is the I need to see this last frame. I need to see this last frame. Will we continue to choose the cursing of feminism, or will we choose to return to the blessing of patriarchy?
See, that's good stuff for you.
Do you remember that thing I said where I pointed out? There was a thing I said before where it was when we were talking about like the lesbianism being a choice thing.
Mm-hmm.
And I specifically said that, do you not realize when the things you're saying are actively giving the other side ammunition?
Right.
This is that.
Yeah.
This is that right there. And Savage King, I wish this was satire. I wish. But biblical gender roles? This person's been doing this shit for years.
There's somebody freaking out in the chat right now. Like, is this satire? Is he joking? Like, is this real? What's going on?
It is. This is not satire.
No, this is not satire. This is the
BGR, thing. me and Ocean and many other Ocean, Digital Hammurabi, both Dr. Josh and Megan, Mr. Atheist, and a bunch of others. We've all gone through the Biblical Gender Roles website. We've looked at this person. We have dealt with their background. This isn't satire. This is the person's actual political stance.
This is a real life human.
This is a person who exists, who has a wife.
Is married. That's the part of it that's always surprising to me.
This is the part of it that
managed to land a lady.
It's also scary because he's actively pointed out that like his last wife couldn't deal with the physical abuse that his current one can. And it's just like, what? Did you just write that? Okay, sure, right.
What? I must have missed that one.
It's the episode where he said, should a woman put themselves through pain for sex with the husband? And he pointed out that one of his wives was able to take significantly more damage during sexual intercourse than the other one. And he noted it as like a positive.
I'm still processing this. Like, that what you're saying is actually what I'm understanding.
Tell me what you think you heard, and I'll tell you
what
I'm
understanding is that basically he's just abusing the shit out of his wife in bed.
Yes.
Okay. And that he thinks this is a good thing.
Yes.
That she can take it?
Yes.
Fuck, man. Like, goddamn. All right. Like, he's just typing that out and putting it on his website?
I just want to let you know that you share DNA with this person. In that you are human as well, and I'm sorry.
Yeah, that I'm human.
Yeah.
Oh boy.
So, that is the end of their video here, but that is not the end of this stream because Biblical Gender Roles has a few more.
Oh, we're gonna go through another one of these things?
Yes.
After what you just said?
Yes. Should I now the question is, should we go?
Oh my God.
The only other one that he has that's 3 minutes here is masculinity, toxic or divine?
Are you fucking me?
No. No, I'm not. I'm not. It actually says masculinity, toxic or divine. Do you need me to send it to you?
No. I can find it. What the fuck?
Okay.
So, I want to, I guess, the first point that I'll make, does this have the same creepy-ass music? Let's see. There's a thing called a false dichotomy.
Yes. and this would be a false dichotomy because masculinity is not something that we view as toxic or divine. We have a specific concept called toxic masculinity, which is separate from the term masculine. It is separate from masculinity in general. Masculinity is an umbrella, and under that umbrella, there is an idea of what is considered toxic masculinity. That is a separate thing.
It's okay. So the best comparison that I heard was toxic masculinity saying that because there's toxic masculinity as a concept is saying that all masculinity is toxic is like saying because cheeseburgers exist that all burgers have cheese on them.
Also, I would like to point out that there is a new artwork that was just submitted here. I am so sorry.
Oh no.
But it looks like you're ready for marriage.
Am I? Wait, what? I'm scared.
It'll appear. Don't worry.
Keep the foreskin. Oh God.
Keep the foreskins.
What is happening?
I'll go ahead and make this the tiny one. This is Clown Ocean's son. It's foreskins.
Don't ever speak to me or my son ever again.
Or he'll take your foreskins.
He'll take your foreskins. Yes.
Oh boy. He's saving them up, dowries and all that.
Yeah, so find a nice lady that I want to settle down with.
Nobody better lay a finger on my duck butter finger. God. This is horrible. Oh boy. So Ocean, given the amount of fan art that exists that apparently ships us, how many foreskins are you giving me?
Say what? How many foreskins am I giving you? Well, you sent me out to get how many? How many did you send me out to get?
53.
I'm coming back with 500.
Okay, cool. But now
That's
it's not
how
a
I
weird
roll.
number.
512. Then.
Korkag, what does God need 200 foreskins when he can have a universe filled with foreskins? Now I'm just imagining a universe filled with foreskins. I don't know how to feel. I don't know how to feel about that. Okay, let's play this thing.
Oh boy.
In America, is American masculinity harming our boys, men, and society at large, the mask you live in? Okay, I'm imagining that he took that from somebody else's article. Toxic masculinity is killing men, the roots of male trauma.
I'm gonna get some coffee. I need to like.
The world says it's.
Oh, I'll be right back.
The world says.
I need to recharge.
You need to recharge?
After all the shit that I just found out, I need a minute. I'm gonna get us some coffee. I'll be right back.
Oh boy. A universe filled with foreskins. Why is that a thing? It's a thing that I legitimately said because of a stream. We've gone too deep, guys. We've gone too deep. Oz says, what a coincidence. I pay Cirrus on Patreon for 100 foreskins a video. I don't know. Raz, how many foreskins are you willing to give? Oh dear.
Okay, I'm back.
Sold
Someone
to
said get a
Oz.
wheelbarrow.
What?
I sold you to Oz.
Oh. Okay, well apparently I've been sold to Oz. Instead of trying to compete with Oz's 100 foreskins Patreon, Raz is just selling me to Oz.
Why would I put any effort into keeping you if Oz wants to literally get foreskins off of 100 different people? I admire him of all things.
Oh my gosh.
He's got some taste.
You okay, Ocean?
I'm. Yep.
I'm not gonna lie. So you opened up a canned coffee, right?
Shh.
Yeah, I heard you cocking a gun. I just heard what is happening. Just
No, I can do that.
I'm done, guys. I'm done. Oh, okay. The world says it's destructive to tell a young son to be a man. Okay, so I can only say, first of all, telling your son to be a man is not a bad thing. Okay? Because in many cases, they don't have a choice. But that said, you're going to start out this sentence has a few things wrong with it. First of all, the world, that's a very biblical gender roles thing to say because he likes to use rhetoric that says the world says X and X is wrong because it's worldly. It's like a fucking that's a tautology, isn't it? It's wrong because the world said it and the world said it, therefore it's wrong. It's circular at the very least.
Where does he say that? Is he saying
it's just a common theme with everything that he's ever written that like the world is
the world says
the world says this, so the world is wrong, and this is wrong because
divorce
the world
yourself
said it.
from worldliness. No, so if you want to like try and root him, let's try and steel man him. If he's rooting his philosophy in the Bible, then he's like handing it authority.
Mm-hmm.
So if the world's comments are different than his authority source, then the world is wrong, right? Like that's the process in his mind.
Mm. So if I say this is how things work in the world, and he goes, well, the world is wrong, then one, if it's wrong because the world said it, that's already the genetic fallacy.
Yeah,
it's like we're starting with just that.
Well, he's not saying it's because the world said it. He's saying because the world says it and it disagrees with his text. Right? I don't think it's necessarily genetic fallacy. It might be the wrong kind of appeal to authority. You know what I mean?
Could be, but nobody... It would be a straw man then, because nobody in argument with them is going to say the world says this. That's not going to be their stance. That's going to be the straw man of their stance.
Right. Yeah. And I think that by what he probably means by the world says is that like popular political nomenclature, like popular political phrasing or whatever, what's politically correct in today's world.
That his arguments against his arguments against PC culture, not the world. And PC culture isn't the world.
Yeah, I'm not saying that his phrasing is the best. I'm just trying to say what he means when he's like the world.
If there is anything,
probably talking about like accepted, like what's universally accepted in our society, except it's not universally accepted.
If there is anything if there's anything that BGR is not, it's a rhetorician.
Well, yeah, I mean, I'm trying so hard to get to what this guy means, even though he's a shit brick. But you know, it's like let me help you out, dude. But I don't know. I'm not gonna disagree with you that he has really shitty wording. I'm still on the world says it's destructive to tell his young son to be a man. Are we still on?
We're still on.
Okay, we're still on that. Okay, cool. The fuck, this guy. Although, like, I have words.
Well, while you think of those words, and Lars Wolf says that words. I can hear Ocean losing brain cells.
I agree with Lars Wolf here. They're dying a slow and painful biblical gender role death. And like, you know, here's the fucking thing with I'm fairly traditional in my like how I live my life personally kind of thing. You know, what could be considered traditional. This is just abuse. The stuff that he wants to put forward. The rigor that he's got about it, the whole like God fucking I can't, Cyrus. I can't.
I'm sure that there was some like level of articulation you had when you walked in here, but it's very far gone now.
It's gone. It's done. There's nothing left anymore. I'm gonna drink more coffee.
But you've gotten to the root of it. That's exactly what BGR wants. No left anymore.
Oh, wow. No left. That was a pun.
Yes, it was.
That...
If there's anybody who can't complain about puns, it's you.
You're right. You're not wrong.
Seems like Ocean's tide is out. Okay, we're gonna push forward.
That's. Yep. All right. What will be will be.
Says the Bible says, "Be on the alert, stand firm in the faith, act like men, be strong."
Bring it down, projectile. Jesus.
No, I don't want to. It's always up.
Be on alert, stand firm in the faith, act like a man, be strong. This is another one. I don't know. I'm glad I've got eSword out right now. 1 Corinthians. God damn it, that's Colossians. 1 Corinthians 16:13. Oh, he's in the last chapter of the end of it. Let's see. Now concerning your brother Apollos is strongly urge you. He's giving advice to like an individual.
But that's not how he's phrasing it. How BGR is using this particular verse, though, is as advice for everyone in the world. Because his argument is against the world.
It seems like he's saying that because Paul phrased things this way to an individual that this language isn't bad. Maybe that's what he's trying to do. Again, I'm trying to be like overly charitable and try and like give a construct to it that I might be able to defend. But damn it. Like I don't understand where he's going. We'll have to see where he's going.
Let's see. Where does he go with this?
Where does he go with this? What's the next one?
Toxic masculinity has 4 main components. Suppression of anything stereotypically feminine, suppression of emotions related to vulnerability like fear, sadness, or helplessness, male domination over women and other men, and aggression. Okay.
I'd agree with that definition.
I would agree with that as well. That's a fine definition.
Like
he pulled it.
It was one of the things that's like toxic about masculinity, I guess, is like there's this image of a man where you need to be like this stoic knight all the time or some shit. And that's where like the problem is that it eliminates this like image of masculinity that a lot of people like revere, that's often very like soldier related, that it eliminates you from having a personality, that you need to be like this machine, that like masculinity, in order to be masculine you have to have the personality of the Terminator. You know.
You must be Arnold.
Right. You got, not only do you have to be Arnold, you have to be Arnold acting like a machine. And like that's boring. It makes it so that you have no third dimension to your character. You're just this statue.
You're just sitting there stoically like working on your car. And,
right.
And
well, I mean,
hunting.
even then,
and that's it. That's all you can do.
You know, let's say that you're a guy who loves your car or whatever. That means that you can't express any sort of like upset or helplessness or whatever in that moment in which your car gets destroyed, right? That you can't be upset over that.
You can't have a point. You can't have a point where you break down and cry over anything.
Right. It's just
unless
like,
it's in private.
No, you put a lot of fucking effort into that car. If you're, who's gonna blame somebody who's gonna like shed a couple of tears over, the vehicle that they happen to like put a lot of money and time into and all that other shit, like it's a devotion, labor of love, and then the car gets destroyed. Like, I totally get somebody being pretty crestfallen over that. Like that's an investment that was destroyed, like, like a truck hit it or some shit. So, so instead robotic, no emotion, sounds like Wolf Blitzer. I'm not gonna. Okay, you know what? Fine. I'm gonna
Wolf
see Blitzer, this towering image of masculinity. But I like, who can blame a guy that's in that situation?
Wait a minute.
Tear up a little bit. Is he not a man anymore? I don't know.
I just played stupid. His next slide, and it says the world says men should embrace feminine qualities. That's not what the concept of toxic masculinity is about.
I think he's straw manning here.
It's about time to straw man. The mere idea that toxic masculinity deals with things that are stereotypically feminine as part of its definition, that does not mean that the world wants men to be feminine. It's saying that these things are arbitrary. Why should they be either? Like that's usually when I see somebody arguing this, usually I see them arguing from a stance that no, the ideas of what's classically feminine and the ideas of what's classically masculine are completely and totally arbitrary. Therefore, we ought not deal with them that way.
Here's the thing. I think one biologist kind of brings up the point that's relevant to this in the chat. Why are emotions feminine? Which I think is part of like what this guy's trying to say. If a dude is like, crying over something, like a grown man cries, that's feminine, right? Suddenly he's not masculine anymore. But honestly, like, I've seen some pretty manly dudes break down over some shit, and like that doesn't take away from their masculinity in my
like for instance,
especially when because what's going on is like you get it, like there is a tradition like of guys being like the one who carries a lot of the emotions in the household or whatever the fuck, that they're supposed to be like the defense for all that, and that they're supposed to be like the action in times of need like that. They can't waste time with emotions in some cases, and sometimes that's true, right? But sometimes you gotta react to shit, or else you're just going to be this bottled up mess of fuck. And that's one of the, like, when you have toxic I think that's part of what toxic masculinity is when you become, is like it embracing the idea that you have to become this bottled up mess in order to retain your manhood for whatever reason.
But even that's just an arbitrary concept as well.
Right, of course. But like, I'm speaking from, like, I've mentioned before a couple of times, I'm like fairly traditional in views and kind of shit. But and I get this kind of stuff, but at the same time, it's like, you know what? If you're gonna like start deducting from manhood, on the basis of expressing emotions, fuck you. Like, what? You're the problem at that point. Because now you're saying that I can't have a personality, I can't be human anymore.
Well, not to mention, there's another side to this. In that not only are you part of the problem because you're saying men can't express emotions, saying that's a feminine quality, but by doing so, this goes one step further, is that you inevitably cause these people to bottle things up and then cause harm themselves. You are now complicit in causing harm.
Yeah, because it winds up getting released in some way or another, and sometimes the wrong person is nearby when it does, and that's just, it's like, like that's just the bad, like that's one of the bad effects of toxic masculinity. It winds up, it has victims, and it gets inherited,
and a lot of times those victims are other men.
Yeah,
like if it just happens to be you are not able to, like, you and your other, I'm going to go ahead and use some derogatory terms here, but for the sake of painting a narrative, you and your other Chad bros are sitting there, cracking open some cold ones, and you're never allowed to cry, you're never allowed to break down. You have a bunch of family members die, and it's like, no man, it's not manly to do that, man. It's not manly to do that. You got take that shit somewhere else, is what you hear all the time, and you're not going to go. These are the people that you've grown up with. These are the people that you've dealt with your entire life. You're not going to just go and find better friends. You're going to stick with the people that you've got, because a lot of times people find themselves dealing with the defaults that they have all the time. Guess who are going to be the people most likely to be around you when you finally fucking snap? It's gonna be the boys that you cracked open the cold ones with.
Right.
And you're gonna end up cracking one over their heads. Like, no.
Yeah.
You inevitably are causing this problem, so congratulations. But that's okay, because these people like BGR are the type of people who, if you were in a live debate with them, you could literally just win over the audience by just saying, I mean, I'm glad to know that you're complicit in abuse. I'm glad to know that you're complicit in rape. I'm glad to know that you're complicit in this. And they're going to spend so much time trying to argue against that when you can just go, no, literally everything you've espoused leads to that. Like, inarguably. Yeah. So you can fight against what you are, and I implore you to fight against what you are, but mayhap do it in a way that doesn't try to convince me that you're different, but in a way that actually changes you into something that's positive.
I have a, like, I don't know, there's this, like, this image of manhood that we have as well that is this idea that, like, a toxic masculinity, I usually feel like when it's being explained to me, oh, these things aren't, masculine and so on, such as that, I feel my instinct is to be like, well, that's a straw man of what we consider masculinity, and then I look at what other people consider masculinity, and I'm like, oh shit, well, no, it's actually not. There's a point to be made here. But one of the things that kind of formed my image of masculinity, honestly, this is stupid, but it's it's an ancient Chinese novel called Romance of the Three Kingdoms, where you have like it's a romantic retelling of a period of China and the Three Kingdoms period. Some people in the chat might be familiar with it from like Dynasty Warriors or some shit. But in that story, you have like all these larger than life men throughout the narrative. And one of the things that makes all of those characters so larger than life and so unique and so incredible is their emotional responses to things. Cao Cao was just mentioned in the chat. Cao Cao, his whole motivation in the narrative is that he's declaring war on the whole world to try and end war absolutely. And the reason why he is doing this is because of a breakdown that he had earlier in his life, in which, like, most of his family was killed as a result of war. So, and then he's also like, he has moments about like his son being incredibly frail, and all these other like his son is sick, and he's fighting for his son to live to create a world in which his son will not have to fight the way that he has. And the character Cao Cao breaks down and cries a couple of times in the narrative. And to suggest that, well, because Cao Cao expressed emotions, therefore he's not a man, is just ridiculous. And like a lot of the characters in the narrative have like these of being stricken with emotion in the cultural struggle that's happening. And there's poems that are written about just the pains of war and the legacy that is being destroyed as a result of this conflict, that, if you read them and you look at the context, it gets kind of teary-eyed if you look at it, and you just kind of, because it puts like the poetry from that period puts you in that moment, and it is incredibly emotional. And again, to suggest that feeling that isn't manly, just to me eliminates the entire concept of what manhood is.
You've now created a scenario where men to be men must be emotionless automatons.
Right. Yeah, and I think that that's just not reflective of what
I think you've collected enough foreskins, Ocean.
I think I have.
Have you seen the newest artwork that just came in?
Oh no. What happened? Oh god.
You have collected just enough foreskin. Are you horrified?
I'm a little horrified. There's 500 in there.
Demonetized. Okay.
Anyway, do you agree with me? I'm putting out a lot there.
Renita Chan just pointed out something that I think is really interesting. Mainly because if anything can bring me back to video games and away from BGR, I'll be super happy. But Robert Kendo in the Resident Evil 2 remake is a very good example of it's being okay to cry. After his daughter gets infected and he has to kill his wife, he literally just, like, you see him get ripped apart. Like, you see his character get ripped apart.
Yeah.
Ocean, did you play the original Resident Evil 2 back on the PlayStation?
I tried. I didn't get very far in it.
You didn't have to get very far, because Robert Kendo is one of the first people you meet. He's the gun shop owner.
Oh yeah, I didn't get out of the first. I don't know. I tried to. I found some ammo once. That's how bad I was.
Okay. Well, in Resident Evil 2, the original, Robert Kendo is a character you meet in the beginning of the game. The first like safe haven you find is this little gun shop before you get to the police station, and Robert Kendo aims his gun at you, and then you guys have a quick talk, and then he gets eaten by zombies. You steal whatever gun he happened to have on him if you happen to stick around, and then you run away. In the remake of the game, they took his character and they moved him to the midpoint of the story instead of the beginning. And they gave his character some absolute fucking weight. Like, watching Robert Kendo break down as he's holding his daughter, like you see him lead his daughter into a room, knowing that he's going to end her suffering, and you see one thing that helps it is that Resident Evil 2 has an amazing facial animation engine. So when a character's face, like when they're breaking down, you can see blood drain from their face and all kinds of tells. Like when Kendo breaks, you cry for him.
Right.
And it doesn't tell, instead of being devoured by zombies and just killed as a statistic the way he is in the original one, when you play through, when you beat the game, you unlock a bunch of extra scenarios, and one of which is where you can play as Robert Kendo right after he had to put his daughter down, right up at the point where he almost commits suicide. And when you pick up, he loses the will to kill himself and instead tries to make a break for it, and you play through that scenario, which is something that completely didn't exist in the original one. And you literally just deal with like the emotional weight of everything crashing down on him as a character, which is amazing from a narrative point of view. And stuff like that is why men being able to show emotions should be necessary, because I want more scenes like that. I want more things like that in media, because it hurts to watch, but it hurts because it's well directed.
Right. And like in my rant about Cao Cao, Lars brought up that it's sad that what was it? I wanted to quote him. It's sad when people become the monsters they seek to destroy. And that's like in the image of Cao Cao that I was bringing up, where there's like the emotional moments that he has. Among those emotional moments that he has is when he's realizing that that's happening to him, that he's become like that he's causing the pain of his childhood 1,000 times over in trying to end it, but remains committed to the cause. And in being committed to the cause, he's fighting against these incredible other larger than life figures, like Liu Bei and Sun Quan, that are fighting for their legacy and fighting for their like there's values that they have. They're like, you know, the Sun Quan's fighting for his family's legacy, and Liu Bei is fighting for kind of like a you know, almost an earlier form of democratic ideal, a value of the people kind of thing. And it's like anti-aristocratic and disrupts the ideas that he had, disrupts power balance that had been going on for eons in China. And Cao Cao's ending these people, you know. And that, like, there's the thing that makes like a lot of these characters manly is the emotions that they face over the process of it, which, you know, kind of goes back to as well what you were talking about Resident Evil, that the points that make the story worth telling about somebody is the emotions that they feel like through it. So if you have like this emotionless image of manhood and that's the ideal you should be striving towards, you're you know, this is a weird way of putting it, but the ultimate goal seems to be to make yourself less interesting in order to be manly, and make yourself less identifiable in order to be manly. You remove the important parts of personality that make you human in order to be a man, and that's stupid.
Yeah. No, I have to agree. If when you advocate for something like toxic masculinity, or when you advocate for it not being a thing, or you advocate for masculinity being okay even in the most toxic senses, the only type of people that you end up really enabling are people that think that a man should be Rambo, a man should be Schwarzenegger, Schwarzenegger's Terminator, a man should be Chuck Norris, a man should be insert these things here.
I mean, even those characters have their moments, like Rambo. But the reason why I brought up Terminator,
because he's literally a robot.
He's literally a robot. He's not a human, but he embodies this concept of masculinity that a lot of people have. But when you get into Terminator 2, the whole point of the Terminator is that he's trying to learn like what the value of humanity is, and that there's and the whole ending moment, like the one of the last things that the Terminator says, this pinnacle of, you know, this like toxic image of masculinity that is still like very revered throughout the narrative, says, "Now I know why you cry," and that like that's the emotional moment that makes the Terminator more human than the rest of the machines, is that understanding that he has. So you know, again, this is that brings home the point again, that what toxic masculinity is essentially removing humanity from men in order for them to be masculine, which I think is stupid.
Yeah, I think video games in general have actually been a pretty good avenue for exploring characters outside the way that like movies generally portray them. Solid Snake is one of those characters that like you generally look at and you go, that's a manly character.
Mm-hmm.
But if you've played most of the Metal Gear Solid series, he has his points where he flat out breaks. In fact, the opening scene of Metal Gear Solid 4 picks up it, not the opening scene itself, but the opening menu shows the ending of the game, where after everything that Snake has been through, because he can't communicate it to anybody, he doesn't have the words to communicate to anybody, he doesn't have the means to do so, he's never been taught how to communicate his experiences to other people, he's always just been that stereotypical masculine macho thing. That's what he was raised to be. The ending scenes of Metal Gear Solid 4 is literally just Snake putting the gun in his mouth, just going, this is the only way out, because he's never been taught another way out. And it's dark. It's dark as fuck. But it communicates.
We're entering really upsetting territory.
it communicates the point, because like at the beginning of the game, probably 30. The beginning of the game, you see that in the opening menu, and you're like, wait, why is this video game icon trying to do this? That's not a thing that I understand. And then as you get through the game, you understand, like, no, I get it. I get why he thinks that's the only way out.
And that gets a little bit back to this whole. I think that in order to tie it back to the video where we're at in it, as the world says that men should embrace feminine qualities. Well, that means like any quality that makes a man human has been relabeled as feminine, according to this person, and therefore, therefore men should not be human. Which I think, and that's the crux of the disagreement, I think.
Hey,
where
Pam
I think this guy's just totally off the mark.
Pam found my playmat. Completely random.
Sweet.
Figured I'd show that to the audience. That said, speaking of the video, I think we can get to the next slide.
Let's get to the next scribe. We spent a lot of time on this one, but I think it's adequate.
There's a lot to unpack, and there was a lot of like when the idea, like when you brought up movies and media, and Renita brought up video games and media, that brings up two avenues of very effective communication about this topic.
Right. So yeah, Romance of the Kingdoms, Terminator, Resident Evil, Solid Snake.
But my snake is solid. But the Bible says, "Know ye not that the unrighteous shall not inherit the kingdom of God? Be not deceived, neither fornicators nor He puts it in he puts it in font that's like 30 points larger than everything else. Nor effeminate, neither fornicators nor effeminate shall inherit the kingdom of God." Do you still have eSword open?
Yeah.
Yeah.
16:9.
1 Corinthians 6:9 through 10.
Yeah. It says, "Do you not know?" All right, so I'm looking at NRSV. Here's what I'll do: is I'll go to the KJV and see what it says here, because I think that I know what's going on. Let's see. Fornicators, nor adulterers, nor the effeminate. So, in the KJV, it's using effeminate. In the NRSV, which is the New Revised Standard Version, which is the one that I use, it says male prostitutes. after adulterers. So let's see. The word that's being used is malakos, of a certain divinity, soft or fine clothing, effeminate, soft. And I think that what's going on here is that the NRSV is putting that in a cultural context, whereas the KJV did not.
Because the KJV is one of the worst translations of the Bible you can find.
It's bad for this kind of stuff. So, disregarding the fact that, we're just like that, this is just pooing on the idea of male prostitutes in the first place. It doesn't. Saying effeminate is probably the worst possible approach to this verse that you could possibly have. It's definitely not what Paul was meaning, and if it was what he was meaning, what was considered effeminate in the Roman Empire, it's probably a little different than what we consider effeminate today.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? Because being like the Stoic, like the image of this, the modern image of the Stoic military man kind of thing that we have today, isn't what the Romans had as being the image of the man. Like, this was written before Claudius was emperor, and Claudius was considered strange as a human because he only liked women in sexual engagement. Right? So what is considered manly at this period of time is probably a little bit different than what we consider manly now.
Yeah.
But this guy's fighting for a modern interpretation of manliness and not a... it's like this translation is wrong. The context of what would be considered masculine and effeminate is also off. So there's all kinds of issues here.
Yeah. All right. Let us see. He's using that to get to a point. So let's see what the point is. The world says men should be emotionally vulnerable and embrace fear. Wait, no.
Not embrace fear. Come off of it.
Nobody said embrace fear. Emotional vulnerability just means ability to communicate your emotions, or willingness to communicate it. Has nothing to do with embracing fear.
All this is straw manning. Because what he's trying to say, like, he's building up this enemy that isn't what anybody's fucking saying about it.
The Bible says, and David said to Solomon his son, "Be strong and of good courage, and do it. Fear not, nor be dismayed, for the Lord God, even my God, will be with thee. He will not fail thee, nor forsake thee, until thou hast finished the work for the service of the Lord." Okay, so usually when the Bible is saying fear not, it's not saying literally do not be afraid, literally do not have fear. It's telling you how to face that fear. To steelman how the Bible usually communicates this, it's telling you how to effectively face your fear. It's not saying the fear doesn't fucking exist.
I love how this is kind of becoming a hammered out episode about this video.
Basically,
because we're sussing it through pretty hard. Because, yeah, I mean, I agree with you about how fear is being used here. Like, fear not usually means, like, it's do not be afraid is usually being interpreted as overcome your fear. Go through it anyway. Like, because you're still going to be afraid. Like, just because someone tells you don't be afraid doesn't mean the emotions go away.
You know what?
It means that you need to overcome them and face the issue anyway.
I'm gonna go ahead and say this. One of the most terrifying villains that Yu-Gi-Oh has. And bring it. Trust. Just trust.
Okay, all right. I'm gonna roll with it.
One of the most terrifying villains that Yu-Gi-Oh has, outside of Merrick being the most terrifying, a combination of Merrick and Bakura, I would say, would be the most terrifying. But next to them would be Maximilian Pegasus. Pegasus is a villain that forces you to take him seriously, even though he's campy as all hell. He's not straight up gay because he has a heterosexual relationship in the show, so that's hard to just say Pegasus is gay. But Pegasus definitely follows a lot of those stereotypes. He is campy as all hell. However, if you were in a situation where it was you versus Pegasus, the Pegasus that is shown in that show, you would be terrified because he's just like a few knocks short of Jigsaw. But
Okay.
that character would not be considered masculine. Would not be considered somebody that BGR would take seriously. Someone that could literally, like, rip your soul out of your body just for losing a game, and then, like, manipulate you into a point where you had to fight all of your friends and hurt those around you in order to succeed. That is someone who will literally force you to the point where you will try to commit suicide, because he does that. He does that twice in that show. In the original dub, or the original version of the show, he flat out gets one person to get a gun pointed at their own head. He gets a person to become so emotionally unstable that they are willing to walk off of a castle in order to comport themselves to the things that he wants them to do. This is somebody who will fuck your life up. This is somebody that BGR could not take seriously based solely on the fact that they're effeminate.
Yeah.
Like, it's weird to bring Yukio up there, but if you think of the things that Pegasus he's a scary individual, and BGR would go, no, you can't take him seriously, he's effeminate.
I don't have very much, like, I don't have any frame of reference for this. Never seen. But I am seeing your chat blow up with it. Like, Pegasus is the true manly man.
He's the true manly man. Lars Wolf, I can't let them know I'm straight. Pegasus from Yu-Gi-Oh! Abridged. Oh my gosh. Yeah, no, that's
I need to watch Yu-Gi-Oh! Abridged. Yu-Gi-Oh! Abridged, because I watched, like, Dragon Ball Z Abridged, and I thought that was, like, just great. Yu-Gi-Oh! Abridged, I need to sit down with, because the like, I saw like 5 or 6 episodes of it, and I was like, this is fucking great.
It's the Yu-Gi-Oh! Abridged is the show that spawned DBZ Abridged. It's the show that spawned Abridged series.
Oh, Yu-Gi-Oh! Came first? I thought the DBZ came first.
DBZ came first, but for Abridged series, you have so, like, in the history of sorry, we're gonna get into history.
Yeah.
In the history of Abridged series, you have stage plays. One of the most famous Abridged series stage plays is Shakespeare Abridged. And Shakespeare Abridged is exactly how it sounds. It is Shakespeare, but abridged down in a comedic fashion. The idea of Shakespeare Abridged it's quite old, but it was adapted by a YouTube user named Little Karibo for a show that we know and now know as Yu-Gi-Oh! The Abridged series, which is literally just Shakespeare the Abridged series, but applied to Yu-Gi-Oh! As the frame instead of Ye Olde Shakespeare.
Right.
Throughout doing that, the series got incredibly popular during the era of MySpace, where it got shared on MySpace all the time, and then later onto YouTube. It's from that era. It's still going on today, though. But Yu-Gi-Oh! Abridged spawned other Abridged series that didn't perform anywhere near as well, and then Dragon Ball Z Abridged actually took the foundation that Yu-Gi-Oh! Abridged had built and built a show on that foundation. And in doing so, created what we now know as one of the best Abridged series of all time. Yu-Gi-Oh! Abridged series is what I would probably say is second best only to DBZ, and only because DBZ Abridged took what worked with Yu-Gi-Oh! Abridged and built it into its own show. And Little Karibo flat out helped with DBZ Abridged. He's the voice of Frieza. The guy who's the voice for every character in Yu-Gi-Oh! Abridged is the voice of Frieza in Dragon Ball Z Abridged.
Character. That's right.
So, no, just fun Abridged series history, because apparently I have an issue when I get into something, I get very into it and I study it, because
there you go.
I
do the same thing, so I understand. You just heard me rant for a long time about Romance of the Three Fucking Kingdoms.
Yes.
So
yeah, Kadama in the chat was just like, well, Ocean's just going to be married to them now. All right, let us move to the next slide.
Sorry, we're geeks, man. Like, this is what's going on.
You hopped onto my show. You hopped onto a skeptic channel who literally talks about Bible stuff while also having anime pictures behind him, and you didn't expect geekery. I'm sorry, it's not going to work.
Right, like I'm, my geekery is all over the place.
I had to bust this guy out during the last stream. I'm sure it'll catch up to you in just a minute. Hold on. There we go.
This guy out.
There we are.
Oh, that thing.
Yep.
Okay. Yeah.
I have a functional one. I had to repaint it though. When I used it at Dragon Con, it was in bad condition, so I had to actually repaint the thing. So
That's so funny.
the only reason
I love how that like those things are functional.
Yeah.
Like
I mean, granted, they're just Fisher Price plastic, but at the same time, like, it's Fisher Price plastic that can do that. Like, it's still neat. Okay.
Fisher Price plastic is so bad though.
It is. It really is. But it's
I
also my
remember having
childhood.
like a Fisher Price castle when I was a kid. It had some knights in it and shit. It was a good little toy, but it didn't really foster too much creativity.
Okay,
Anyway,
so Kadama
next
says,
up.
my name is from Toho. I'm way more of a geek than you. No, Kadama, that doesn't make you way more of a geek than me. That makes you a bad apple. And Kadama's going to understand exactly what I meant. You okay, Ocean?
I'm scared. I'm trying to read the chat.
That went right over your head, didn't it?
Maybe it did because I wasn't entirely listening, but because I'm reading the chat right now, and the chat is like a mess.
All the Toho fans, please educate Ocean on level 5.
Toho fans.
Was it level 5 of Toho 3 that had bad apple, I want to say? I'm 100% certain that was it.
Oh, what? Toho? Wait. Maybe I don't know what you're talking about.
No, I think it's
bad because I'm a fan of I'm a fan of like the film company Toho, but
different. Well,
different thing.
Toho is a shoot 'em up on the PC that is very, very, very old, but it has spawned a massive fandom, like an absolutely massive fandom that has redone several of the popular songs from Toho. The most popular song to come from the Toho series is from the 5th level of one of the early games that is called Bad Apple. That was the joke. The joke is no longer funny because I've had to explain it.
Yep, there it goes.
Yep. Ready to chain in the chat. There's a song called Bad Apple. There we go. Okay.
Yep.
I have to explain geek jokes to Ocean. And Ocean is also a geek.
Yeah, like it's not like I'm not a geek. It's bad.
All right. The world says men should suppress their aggressive tendencies. But the Bible says... Oh, I love how he's got this picture of somebody from the military.
Bible says that we should punch people.
Blessed be the Lord, my strength, which teacheth my hands to war and my fingers to fight. Okay, but you do realize that you're quoting from Psalms, and Psalms is a rabbit hole. You could use just Psalms to support or deny any freaking position.
Psalms is like that.
Like, Psalms is this hodgepodge of all of this music and poetry that just, it can espouse or reject any fucking position. Like, Psalms is a freaking rabbit hole. I would not use Psalms.
Also, the context of this is, like, really fucking specific, right? Because
it's a song about a specific time in war where...
It's a song about David.
Yes!
Specifically, as a
We're
human.
back to foreskins!
Right.
We're back to foreskins!
Teacheth my hands at war and my fingers to fight, and to fit as many foreskins as possible upon them, O Lord.
All right, I'm going to the next one. I'm not sticking too long on that. The world
this covers a lot of the stuff that we've already... Too.
Oh no.
Like the whole military shit?
Oh no.
What's going on?
Ocean.
What did he do?
Oh no. The slide that he's on at 1 minute and 53 seconds.
Ah!
Oh god, no, we're here!
Ruleth well his own house.
But the Bible says that a man is to ruleth well his own house. Okay, that doesn't mean that...
With this really cutesy picture of two... The head of the woman is a man.
Oh,
that one gets quoted a lot. The 11.3?
The head of the woman is the man. Okay, so all I can think of when I hear... I understand that it does not mean this. But when I read that passage, all I can think of is a woman with a beard. So what I'm really saying is I'm thinking of Ocean as a woman.
What?
Because Rule 63, Ocean would still have a beard, and you know it.
Oh, that's true. I think we've even seen that.
Daughter of Artemis just says ultimate yikes. It's very. This is very yikesy. All of this is yikesy.
I'm like the next one. These masculine traits that drive men to be leaders and providers are protectors are not toxic. We just went like that's what I spent so much time on. Referencing Romance of the Three Kingdoms and the Terminator over.
Yeah, masculine. Nobody who argues about like the realism of toxic masculinity is saying that all masculine traits are toxic. Nobody. And the people who are what we would call reactionaries and also stupid.
Yeah.
Like, no. That is not how any of this shit works. Okay, I'm gonna go to the next slide. I'm gonna slam my face into a wall. But rather...
So are you on the one with the girl smelling the guy's armpit?
Yes.
All right.
Rather, these traits are divine. For a man indeed ought not to cover his head, for as much as he is the image and glory of God, but the woman is the glory of the man. I have seen him use that passage so many times to argue for, like, things like allowing for rape in marriage. No. No. That's...
Fucking hell.
I've also seen him use this passage in order to say that a man should be allowed to humiliate a woman, but a woman should never be allowed to humiliate a man because she should comport herself to the man. Because the man is beholden to God, but the woman is beholden to the man. So the woman should not speak out against the man, but the man can speak out against the woman because he's talking with divine authority.
And why are so many men turned on by humiliation? It seems like God designed men pretty badly in that respect.
Yeah. Just...
I just think about that. Like, because that's like a really common fetish among men.
I hope not.
No, like that being humiliated, like being the subject of it, is a pretty common fetish among men. So, like, because in the BDSM world, like the submissive male is the most common.
Fair. I will say it is much harder as somebody who's actually been to like classes for this. It's harder to find men who are actually doms. What you usually what you usually find is men who are subs who end up being incredibly toxic as doms because they are desperately trying to pretend to be something they're not.
Exactly. That's what I've seen as well.
It's awkward.
As one of the problems that I've had with like the whole BDSM world is that a lot of the men in it are like that. Where it's like, you're not actually a dom. You're just...
No.
You're just this submissive thing that doesn't want to be okay with the fact that you're submissive. For whatever reason. And it's shit.
Okay. Nico popped in the chat and said, I know I'm late on this, but the political lesbianisms also tend to be very anti-trans.
Yes, that's true.
I'm guessing that political lesbianism also contains many TERFs.
Yeah.
Okay, excellent. I'm so glad that
it's part of that segment.
Humanity was a mistake.
It's amazing how many bad ideas like get together.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
47 seconds left in this video. We can do this.
Can we?
We can do this. We can. I swear.
Hold on a second.
The Bible gives this command to all Christians. Wait a minute. Wait.
I didn't read this. The reason God made man, male being.
Okay, you don't have to keep reading. Why are you feeling fried? I'm trying to... What are you doing?
I'm trying to catch up.
You're done. Go. Okay.
Going on? You
what?
okay?
I'm trying to do fries and sandwiches. Go bad.
Oh, you're being fed.
It's okay. We're done. We're done. We're done. Why?
Have you been fed?
Why am I being touched by hands? Both of you are evil. Okay. I guess I have to freaking... What are you doing? Why?
Touch the nip. Touch the nip.
Okay, we're done. We're done. Bye. Bye. Why are you both touching my nipple?
Because it's a very perky nipple.
That's because I'm fat.
Did purple rhymes with orange say force feeding,
God,
Cirrus?
no. Why? Why is this a thing you're doing? I want to live. Oh, great. Now I've got the hiccups.
Oh,
Perfect.
Shit, I just fucking...
No, we're done.
I just fucking elbowed him in the face because he fucking bent down right as I fucking twisted my arm.
Okay. Okay.
That's common.
Remember to feed your Cirrus twice a day and take him for walks.
Take him for walkies. Oh my god. Kadama says you're making Ocean jealous. Quick, someone touch his nipples.
Yeah, come over here and touch my nipples, please, somebody.
Please.
Oh my god, okay.
Feed your Cirrus or he will not grow. That's very true. I don't feed my Cirrus, and he is still at like 5'6".
Cirrus Chan, you okay? Okay.
I mean, I'm still shorter than Cirrus.
I love this. Cirrus doesn't appear to be ruling his household.
She's still shorter than me. Cirrus doesn't appear to be ruling his household. Big guy's gonna be pissed.
Ocean has soggy nipples. Consent has been revoked.
Okay. Okay. I can do this, I swear.
Can we make it?
The Bible gives this command to all Christians, and be not conformed to this world. This is just part of his narrative again. But be ye transformed by the renewing of your mind, that ye may prove what it is, that good and acceptable and perfect will of God. And it's in Romans. Are you okay?
And I bet it's KJV.
It is KJV. What are you doing?
Is he using KJV? I don't even...
He
he is.
exclusively uses KJV.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
I'm...
Why?
I
Why
don't
are
know.
you feeding me? I have plenty of gummy. God. I feel violated.
Not conformed. I'm gonna hit the thumbs down.
At least I didn't shove a sandwich in your face like my original plan was.
Be me.
My
Will of
original
God.
thing? Oh, I thought you were gonna hug me.
No, I'm trying to push you away. I'll take
Stop
hugs, though.
nourishing me. Exactly.
Watch me fucking disobey Sky Daddy BGR.
Hashtag me too, Cirrus.
No, this is bad. I do not want. What? You've had enough.
All right.
You've
We've
had
got
enough.
Is it
15
really
seconds, so we
sexual
still got to break down this
harassment?
slide.
Oh god, no, so bad. Kinda.
Yeah.
You've had enough.
Have I?
Yes.
Have we really?
Yes. Aaron, please grab her and take her away.
What is happening?
Madness, that's what.
I'm enjoying watching this. Cirrus being embarrassed is sexy to me.
I'm glad to know that my humiliation is your kink.
Let me boop.
I am defending from too many hands.
You see, Jeremy, I would, but I am chaos. Quickly channel the spirit of the Lord and assert dominance.
I have the hammer.
All right, we got 2 slides left, I think.
Run!
You better run. Okay.
I thought you'd be holding it tighter. I'm sorry.
I can't hold it tighter. Do you know what the top of the hammer is like? Oh my god. Just for that, I'm touching your butt. Okay.
Purple says this just proves what happens if you don't follow what BGR tells you to keep your women under control.
Oh my god. Okay. No. Jeremy, the problem is not that I don't understand leverage. The problem is that Cirrus has a limp hammer. You see. Therefore, I cannot use it to properly defend myself because it is a limp hammer. Can't hang on to his limp hammer, Cirrus. Okay, Ocean, do you want to unpack this thing since I've been violated?
Sure. I don't know
That's-
what to do with it. Like I'm sitting here looking at it, and I'm just like, okay. It's like this verse here is just like trying to confirm the rest of what he's already said, and putting it underneath will of God.
What he's doing is a thing that we see a lot. That's called harmonizing the scriptures,
Right.
where you attempt to take multiple passages and string them together, even if they're from multiple authors that had nothing to do with one another.
Well, he's mostly been using Paul here, in fairness, but
Except when he's
except when he doesn't.
except when he's not, except when he uses Deuteronomy, except like he's using Paul, except when he's not. And even then, like we know that five
With a
of the
couple
letters,
exceptions, he's mainly using Paul, though.
yes,
But we even know the Pauline letters may not be all written by the same person. So, but that's
we know at least 5 of them are not Paul.
oh, I didn't know it was 5. I didn't
Yeah.
realize it was that high.
They-
I thought it was. I know Hebrews is in question. I don't
There's-
know, and maybe Philemon.
There's 7 that we know are his, from what I understand, and there's 5 that we know are not.
Okay.
And typically, what happens is whenever you find contradictions in the Pauline doctrines, almost always it's a contradiction between one of the 5 and one of the 7. Like almost always, there's a contradiction between those two, and it's one of the ways that we found that it is different authors because he contradicts himself so much between the two. Not to mention the writing style is different between the two, and various other methods that we use normally to figure out when a historical author is being plagiarized.
Have you read 2.5 Corinthians?
2.5 Corinthians?
Yeah.
No, I've not.
2.5 Corinthians is a rant that Paul writes about Simon Magnus. It's good stuff.
Oh dear.
It's the meanest Paul's ever been.
You mean?
But it's also
you
it's
mean
in question,
outside
so-
of when he was stoning Christians?
Well, whatever. But
Wait!
in
The meanest he's been is just a whatever when we're talking about murder.
Shush.
Okay.
It's okay.
Sure. Yeah. Okay. Cool. That's what I wish I had a rug so I can just sweep everything
right.
under it.
It's just fine. God damn it. So, I don't know words. So, there's I think it's in 2 Corinthians where he's like, guys, I'm sorry about how mean I was last time. What he was talking about was like this incredibly profanity laden letter that he wrote about Simon Magnus.
Oh boy.
Anywho, moving on. This guy's just basically using Romans in order to say, yeah, everything else that I've said is underneath the perfect will of God. Like he's using it to justify the rest of his passages and whatever. Like this is a strategy that we find among Christians. It's what they do. It's a thing.
Jim Hall from Atheist Edge has also said that 200 Philistine Foreskins would make a good band name.
That's the name of my punk metal band, actually.
Oh my god.
It's post-hardcore punk.
All right. Also, one of my friends on Facebook who's watching this wants me to roast him for something that he said, but I haven't been looking at the Facebook chat, so I'm not going to roast you. I might do it. I might do it later. I might have like a call where I'm just like, okay, look, now it's time for me to roast you. But I'm not going to do that right now. This is somebody I used to spar with, actually, so I could just be like, look here, bitch boy. I'm not going to do that. Okay. I'm sure he's got a conclusion. I'm sure he's got a conclusion here.
Yeah, what's his conclusion?
Will you as a Christian conform to the pattern of this world, to the pattern of our culture, which attacks and denigrates masculinity and by extension the very image of God? Cirrus.exe has stopped working.
See, that's what he was doing. I told you.
He's trying to create the narrative where it's the world versus God.
Yeah.
And by agreeing with him, you're agreeing with God.
Yeah.
By disagreeing with him, you're agreeing with the world, which de facto makes you against God.
Yeah.
And by saying, or will you take a stand, the choice is yours, now we have a call to action.
Yeah.
Please tell me there's another slide. Please tell me there's another slide.
There's another slide, but it's just like...
Storyboard by Larry Solomon.
Larry Solomon.
Okay, well, I'm going to go ahead and say this right now. Larry, my buddy, my dude, my friend Aruni, by helping out with this bucko, you are what we call a cuck.
What the fuck?
And I only use that because of how often it gets used against me. For fun. So, sorry, buddy Buckaroony, who's so willing to help a rape apologist. You are a cuck. This is not something that I find insulting. In fact, I don't kink shame people. But I know that people like you find it insulting. Therefore, own it. Anyway. Yes, Ocean?
I don't have anything else to say. Like he just did what I thought he was going to do, so.
Yeah.
It's a fucking idiot.
Harmonize the scriptures in giant air quotations. And then us versus them narrative, you're against God,
Yep.
blah, 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 blah.
Yeah. Yeah. Straw man the opponent. On top of that, and whatever. It's stupid.
All I can say is the song of David should have been called Sing a Song of Foreskins, A Pocket Full of Flesh.
Who's saying I'm speechless? I'm not speechless. I just feel like I've already said everything I need to. Point.
Yeah.
Like,
Renita points out this is not a storyboard; it's a slideshow. You dense fuck. Yes. Yeah. None of this was a storyboard. None of this was a storyboard.
Yeah, there was no
thing.
storyboarding here. So I don't even know what Larry Solomon's being.
He's being credited for making a slideshow that I could have made in the second grade.
Yeah. No, I think I made better slideshows in the second grade.
Let's see, does he have a last slide?
To find out more about what the Bible says about God's design and his purpose in creating gender roles, please visit biblicalgenderroles.com.
Does this guy not have a microphone?
Oh, I believe he does. Let's see. Yeah. Let's see here. Videos. Hold on.
Having the obedience of the people to God's moral
Oh,
laws.
he does have a
I
microphone.
mean, like enforcing things like the Ten Commandments. Well, 9 of them, because the Sabbath law is not brought forward in the New Testament. But,
Oh my God. Oh, wow. Okay, so this is the first time I've heard his voice. I have now officially heard his voice.
I'm trying to hear his voice too.
Yeah, in Separation of Church and State, if you go to anywhere in the video, you can hear his voice. And oh my, I'm just going to say that based on what I heard, I can only assume that he would fit in really well with RPR. Also, I see that my friend Pixelated Skeptic has commented on this video 11 months ago. Huh. That's neat. Anywho. Yeah, Pixelated is one of those people who also had to deal with the ABECA curriculum like I did for growing up. He's a good guy. He's a good guy.
I can't do.
Have you heard the voice now?
Yeah. Yeah, he's a screechy little guy.
enforcing, there should be absolutely no problem with a court
Someone
having
in
a
the
plaque.
Joseph Alcott. You notice how all these manly, godly men have really weak, squeaky, effeminate voices?
I know, right?
It's not. It's there. It is. You know, that's what I was thinking. Like, as soon as I was like hearing his voice, I was expecting to hear like a high pitched little squeaky thing, and that's what I found. And, you know, there you go.
Also,
Makes a lot of what he's saying makes sense. It's all projection.
I need to go into the room and grab a bunch of my other nerd stuff to have behind me, because when people say things like, I have an ocarina too, I'm just like, I do as well. I want to go grab both of my ocarinas.
Like, just keep all your nerd shit right there.
I really should. I had to go grab my dual disc yesterday when somebody was like, hey, we need to, or it was Dragworker who said, we need to start a fund to get Cirrus a dual disc. And I'm just like, hold up. Wait a minute. Shows dual disc.
God, this is such a fucking mess.
I kind of want to die, like, at least this much. Just this much. Renita, unfortunately, the only song that I can do on the ocarina anymore, and I can only do it on a 6-hole ocarina, because I learned on 6-hole, and so when I tried learning on a 12-hole, I absolutely fudged it up. I'm very uncomfortable on 12-hole. I learned a bunch of songs on it. The only one I can do from memory anymore is Saria's song. Which I feel like if you're going to learn only one song from Zelda and keep it in your head, it should be Saria's song. Just that is the one that sticks. But
BRB.
I want to die just this much, based on what I've dealt with in these. Why did it take 2 hours to get through 2 3-minute videos? Ugh. Just bleh. Sirs, can we watch the separation of church and state video? I'm going to be ending the stream here in about 5 minutes, probably a little less, so we can't do the separation of church and state video. But the separation video is an hour long. I would be here for a solid day, trying to get through this thing. It would hurt. It'd be physically painful for me to go through. If you desperately want to go through it. I have provided a link to this shit for you guys to see.
I'm back.
Welcome back. My gosh. I just let's see, maybe another day this week, split up something, did this my immoral. Serious, maybe I could do an edited video of it. The problem is that like when I do edited video responses, I try not to edit out anything that the person I'm talking about says. I try to keep everything in their context for the video. It means the videos end up being longer, but it also means that nobody can accuse me of cutting out things that they've said. As an example of why I do this, one of the few times I've edited out things that somebody has said is either when I feel like their point is finished, there's nothing else I can say about it, or if the video's already like incredibly long like this one and they repeat the same point over and over again, and I'm just like, okay, look, there's no reason that my subscribers need to hear you say the same shit 4 different ways. They've heard it once.
Repetition, yeah.
They've heard it once. They know what you're saying. We'll continue. The reason I do this, though, as an example, I cut out 15 seconds. All of 15 seconds of Hunter Avalon's answering or straight answers video. And the 15 seconds I cut out was enough for people to slam me saying that I took him out of context. I edited out things that he had said. 15 seconds on one point.
What was in the 15 seconds?
In the 15 seconds, it was... What the hell was it? I don't want to go through his video to find it. It was It was right after the 2-minute mark in the video, if memory serves, and he had just responded to something that one of the Asian guys had said in the video. And after responding to it, I said my response, and then he basically made a couple jokes that reinforced what he had said, and I cut those out because I said there's no friggin' point. But I also provide the original video when I do my responses. I provide that in the description. So if anybody says I take him out of context, they can just look at the video and go, oh, oops. Like, oh well. Nothing of major significance during that. I can pull up my actual editor, though, for it if you need me to.
No, don't worry about it.
I had just hit film. I hate you.
Don't worry about that.
Okay, fair enough.
Yep.
But no, point being...
It's like you're not the kind of person to take things out of context as far as I'm concerned. So, and I don't care enough about Hunter in order to figure out.
In order to research exactly where I may have.
Right. It just doesn't... I don't care about that guy. So who gives a shit as far as my perspective is concerned? Like, you know.
But we can't care about your perspective because you're a theist, and since you're a theist, you must obviously be delusional, and therefore whatever perspective you might have, it doesn't matter.
Yeah. So
because that's
fuck me.
Because that's obviously a way that we should definitely be engaging in discourse.
Correct. Yes.
Slothgirl slowly says, "Sir, start watching your mail." I do need to do that. We'll be checking our mail here tomorrow. So
can
yeah.
I plug myself?
No, you're still here. We can hear you.
I was saying, can I plug myself?
Oh yeah, go ahead. By all means.
Yay! Subscribe to me. That's it.
Is that all? Not gonna.
I'm making YouTube videos. There's content now showing up on my page. We're on video. I'm working on my 4th one now. So,
Okay.
there you go. Yeah, it's making some polytheist content. I'm commenting on Christianity every once in a while. So, it's a good little channel is forming over on my side of things. Not as prolific as Surus's channel because Surus is like devoted to this shit. Like so extremely. Like, dude, no, like this guy. But at the same time, like I'm putting together some cool stuff. So, give me a subscribe. Or follow me on Twitter.
What he's saying, because we brought up BDSM before, what he's saying is Ocean needs subs.
I do need subs.
and you know what that means? There's going to be a picture just randomly of like you with a whip, like in front of a crowd going, "I need more subs."
Oh no. No. I think that's the link. It should work.
It's gonna happen.
There it is.
It's gonna happen. Sloth Girl Silly says, "Sirs, don't be a man. Please read the instructions." But biblical gender roles told me that if I don't be a man, then I'm of this world and I'm going to hell. That said,
I'm scared.
I do hope you guys enjoyed the video. I do hope you enjoyed the absolute madness that is this thing. Those are the only 2 short videos that he had on his channel. And there's another video that is gone. I do not know where his Rachel Oates response went. I'll have to find it. But yeah, no.
Somebody's got it somewhere.
Somebody's got it somewhere. The internet remembers. The internet remembers.
I wish the Wayback Machine remembered videos, but it doesn't.
I wish it would too. I wish it would remember comments, so when people delete their comments after I screenshot them, I could find the full comment. So it could be like, "Look, you made an ass of yourself. Now let's find out how much of an ass of yourself you made."
Right.
Maybe that's just like, maybe it's just me that's bad. Maybe I'm the problem. I'm the person that smiles when I read hate mail. I think that's is that an actual problem?
That's very Christian of you.
What was that thing you said when we were at Waffle House the first time? I'm the most Christian atheist you know.
Something along those lines. I don't know.
I don't even remember what the context of the conversation was when you said
I don't remember it either. But I poke fun at you pretty consistently, so
yeah.
I'll probably say it again at some point.
More than likely.
But yeah, it's like, I don't know, if you're smiling at hate mail, and it's consistent hate mail, you know, that does seem very like, I'm edified by the criticisms of the Lord.
All right, Jesse Lee Peterson. These people hate me. That's what they say.
Yep. If people hate you, you're obviously doing something right. I love that logic, but at the same time, sometimes it's true.
Sometimes it's true, but it is like, it's weird logic because no matter what you do, people will hate you, and like no matter what it is.
It's the internet. You're gonna get haters. As soon as you get a certain amount of exposure, you're gonna get haters. So,
yep,
like, that's just the name of the game.
It is. But that said, hope you guys enjoyed the video, and